Zeke, you're standing on a precipice, a familiar precipice that you have never stood on before. Where your feet are planted in this place, you can see what looks to be some type of stone or metal. You're not entirely certain, but everywhere else around you is just open air. You seem fearful for a moment. You hesitate. You take a step, and once again, your foot finds purchase into a same type of a stone or metal, something hard. As you look out all around you, you can see the entirety of the Ninth World, from the sea kingdoms of Gan all the way to the clock of Cali, all below you, just a beautiful, stunning world of lush forests, the great jungle to the north past the Black Ridge Mountains that is perfectly star-shaped. You see massive undulating hills. You see perfectly geometric lakes, like perfectly square, that lead off of exacting dead straight lined rivers that lead into another square, into another rectangle, each one almost forming a link that looks like a circuit, some type of data. And as the sun begins to rise up, you can almost see small, thin black lines etched from the great and like dawning sun. Something around that giant star, that ball of fire. And as the light begins to go up, you begin to see all around you is this patchwork of now purples and golds and greens and lush browns and even sky blue sand all around you. It is a ridiculously beautiful sight to behold. As you stand there in awe, you hear a voice behind you. Honestly, if you're going to spend all of this time on this precipice, you might as well build a home on here, my old friend.
We'll turn around and look.
You see a young man, probably in his late 30s. He has a very neatly trimmed beard, jet black. His hair, half of it is this kind of shock white. The other half of it is just like jet black. He stands there in a large robe, kind of his hands kind of folded into these like very deep V, like huge long sleeves. You seem troubled today. What is wrong, Ezekiel?
And Ezekiel's like trying to play it cool. He'll like run his hand through his hair. It's like, it's a big place. And I like standing at this precipice. I feel like maybe it's a better option than jumping.
And at that moment, he stops for a second. He kind of cocks his head. Wait. And inside his sleeve, he pulls out what looks to be like a kind of a small music box. And kind of holding it in his hand, you see these like small little metal arms kind of spring open, and a light appears, and it makes a perfectly accurate representation of a pocket watch, just kind of floating. Is it that time already? Huh. And as he kind of like looks like he just puts pressure on it, it just snaps shut, and the pocket watch, the image just kind of disappears. Well, I do believe this is the first time that you've ever met me.
Yes.
I was wondering when this time would be. Unfortunately, this is not the first time that I have met you. That is not going to happen for quite some time in the not too distant past that we have yet to actually get into. My goodness,
Sir, I mean, I'm meeting you now, right? I mean, this is like I can see you, so I have met you, right?
Oh, yes, I can definitely see that it's going to take some time. And he kind of laughs like he's making his own joke. It's going to take some time for you to pick things up. And don't worry about it. See, before you, as you are now, came to be here, which is now, but it is not now, it is soon to be, from whence you had come from, which was then you'll understand everything. But until then, it is nice to meet you, Ezekiel. For the second time on my side, but the first time on your side.
So this is some sort of temporal rift. Is that what's happening here? I am in two places at once. I've read about this, maybe.
No, not exactly. Think of it more of a Mac, as you're standing there watching this four-legged creature run away, you can see the rest of your party is just starting to kind of snap into action, except for Zeke. Zeke just seems to be standing there, like kind of staring off into space. And as you can see, your quarry is starting to get further and further away from you. What are you doing right now?
I think Mac would, as soon as he started running, Mac's kind of his instincts would come into play. He would just start chasing him. He would try to get as close as he could. If he's noticing that Zeke is just kind of standing there as he's running past Zeke, he would just smack him upside the head or in the face or something. Just say, "Hey, snap out of it," and just continue trying to chase this creature.
And Ezekiel, as you are standing there looking at him, he just seems to smile and he says, "See you soon." And the whole image, everything around you just seems to shatter into glass. Like everything, just like these twinkling lights, and it just seems to kind of mirror this twinkling of everything. And all of a sudden, everything starts coming into focus. The lights of the town, the snapping of the fingers, which was just like it came from this kind of to like this snap, 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 and all of a sudden you kind of wave, kind of shake your head, and all of a sudden, there's Mac kind of snapping his fingers. What about the other two of you, Gavin and Ford? What are you two focusing on at this moment?
So Ford seeing Zeke the way that he was, and seeing, I'm sorry, I forgot everyone's names. Drake's character.
Mac.
You just said it, Mac. I don't know what it is in this game. I can't remember names. I can't even remember my own. It's written down, though, so that's good. So seeing Mac run off, I would kind of jog for a little bit, and seeing Zeke not moving, and depending on what Jacob's character is doing, I would kind of like lazily shout out, even on Earth, two-legged people can't outrun four-legged people, so... And he would kind of stop running and like just watch and see what happens if this thing is running away.
And it is. Matter of fact, you see as it runs, it actually leaps up onto the roof of a house, knocking some clay tiles off and kind of smashing it, like hopping from rooftop to rooftop, and then back down on the ground as it just gallops away, even sounding like a horse that is just like moving as like fairly quickly.
Did I have a sensation of falling? Or did I just like come to, like it was in front of me and then just like smashed and I could see normally?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's almost like you had sight and then all of a sudden it just broke and there you were.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that would be a moment, and there's no running from Zeke. He's just standing there going, "What? Huh?" And he's like trying to get his bearings, so he's not moving.
And Gavin had, knowing that he would never outrun Mac. Mac's got a few years younger on him, let alone trying to outrun some four-legged transforming creatures. He just kind of takes a few steps as Mac starts running, takes a few steps like he's about to run too, and then just lets Mac do what he's going to do because he knows there's no pulling him back. He also notices Zeke, and I think he would just kind of put a hand on his shoulder, seeing maybe a slight waver, and stand there watching where Mac is going, just holding on to Zeke and just trying to keep an eye on Mac from here and his quarry.
All right. So, Mac, as you're running through, you're trying to keep an eye on this thing, and it's kind of just bobbing and weaving left and right, moving up and over, and actually just straight away from the town. Eventually you see the homes, even some farms kind of past you as you keep running into the night.
I think as long as I could see this thing, I would follow. Just being very single-minded, just as a soldier, this is what I have to do. And he would just run as fast as he could, as hard as he could, until either he ran out of stamina or he could not see this creature anymore.
Okay, what I need you to do is make me a might check. You're going to be making 3 might checks. The first one, what I like to do is it'll be a difficulty of 2, so you need to roll a 6 or better.
Okay. It's an 8.
Nice. So, you kind of start feeling your muscles starting to like the lactic acid is starting to like kind of burn into your quads, your hamstrings, your calves. But your determination of finding out just what the hell you just saw. Maybe it's just to confirm, because you're not going crazy, or maybe it's who knows. But you're just bolting. As you begin to continue to run, you kind of see like kind of a road, or at least like some type of a gravel, wide gravel path kind of going around you. But this thing keeps on like running, kind of over the hill around, you see kind of like a small lake, a couple of copses of trees here and there. But as you keep running, I need you to make another might check. This is going to be a difficulty of 3. So you'll need to roll a 9 or better.
Rolled a 6.
Because you start to slow down as this, like it's starting to get too much. Your lungs are starting to burn. You're starting to feel your heart just pounding, ready to burst out of your chest, as this creature kind of gets further and further away. As you start to drop back, what I want to do is make me 1 more might check, and this will be a difficulty of 4. So you need to roll a 12 or higher.
That was a 2.
Okay. As you see this creature kind of crest a hill, you just kind of lose sight of it. You think that if you just have to if you could just get over this one hill. As you start to slow down, kind of breaking from a sprint into kind of a steady run, into a jog. As you get to the top of the hill, you look around, and it's dark enough now that there's almost no light. So it's almost like it's virtually impossible to see where the creature kind of went off to.
Sorry, and I think realizing that this thing's gone, that I just can't see. I just imagine Mac just kind of bent over, maybe even down on one knee, or his hands on his knees, just out of breath, just panting, and then he just kind of says out loud, he's like, "Damn it." And then I imagine he looks back. At this point, he had just kind of been focusing forward on chasing this thing, and he just looks around and he says to himself, "Where the hell am I?" Just like glancing around, going, "How did I get here?"
And having seen him sort of disappear and everyone else kind of hung out, Ford would probably kind of hit Zeke and be like, "Check it out. He almost made it."
Yeah. And Zeke is like, no idea what's going on. He's just like, yeah, good one.
As you're kind of panting, like just kind of like trying to like draw as much air into your lungs as possible, Mac, knelt down, as you're kind of looking around, into your surroundings, you see what looks to be like again, like kind of like a very small forest. Just kind of like I would almost say like a large copse of trees, directly around in front of you. You do see what looks to be kind of like a bit of a ruined building. At some point, it was something, but now there's just like there's a few walls here and there. There's a few archways. There's you see like, and then of course like around the other side of you, you do see like the road just kind of like continuously moving on, kind of further in the distance, and then cresting around. Looks like another bend on its way. Who knows? Also, just beyond this, like just beyond that whole area, you do see the river, like a river kind of like moving to the right.
Would I know? Would I know where I like kind of recognize where I came from?
I mean, a river's a river. You think that this like large river, like it is quite a large river. You kind of have a feeling that might have been the river that leads to Thuzaskin, all like down toward down like back down. If you followed it, kind of like to the east, back to the east a little ways, you'd probably end up back at that settlement. But as you were like running basically in a straight line, or at least trying to run in a straight line to keep up with this thing, you figure, basically turning around, you'll probably be able to get back at some point.
Mac isn't one to just stand around. When he realizes that he would realize that it's dark. He really has nothing to defend himself, and this creature just outran him. I think once he caught his breath, he would. He probably wouldn't run, but he would quickly. He would just try to pick up the pace and walk quickly back towards his companions. Maybe even like a little trot, but certainly something that he could keep up just to get back as quickly as possible. He doesn't feel safe out here all by himself, because he's just not familiar. He doesn't know what's out here.
Right. Now, in the meantime, were the rest of you, the three of you, were you guys just standing around, or would you guys have like started to run in his direction?
So I would probably still be keeping an eye on the kiosk, hoping he knows what he's doing, but I imagine it's still night and we're still potentially getting paid very valuable money just to watch this thing. So I would be a little hesitant to leave, basically hoping he came back, but understanding that he may not be able to find his way.
Ford, watch this, and pointing at Zeke, watch him.
All right, just so as you know, if somebody starts taking it, I'm gonna watch him take it.
And just kind of initially walking and then reluctantly kicking into a bit of a jog once Matt kind of disappeared from sight. I want to move to where I lost sight of him, but where I can still maintain sight of, as far as I can go and still keep sight of Ford and Zeke, and see if I can spot Mac at all.
All right. So as you're kind of like jogging towards where you think Mac is, make me a perception check, or at least some type if you have that skill, that'd be great. If not, then I guess it would be intellect.
Okay. I'm trying to roll below my number, or
no, you're trying to roll above your number, or above the difficulty number. So the check, so the difficulty will be it'll be like a 3.
No, I think a 17 beats that.
Oh hell yeah! So not only are you able to kind of like as you're running, you kind of see Mac just off in the distance, but you can also notice as with that good of a roll, you actually see that there are some indentations that of feet that seem to be very close together and moving in a gait, or seem to be moving in a gait that isn't human. Like something, it's they're human footprints, but they're too close together to make any sense to be human, or at least a bipedal human.
Are they moving in Mac's direction?
Yes, they're moving, or at least they're moving towards where Mac is coming from.
Giving a glance back at Zeke and Ford, and again, reluctantly, I'm gonna keep an eye on these tracks, and with the only weapon I have, a spear at the ready, just kind of follow these tracks. One eye out for Mac.
So yeah, so you do, like, Mac is basically coming right towards you, and as you're moving towards it, you also see the same, like, these tracks basically moving like directly towards where Mac is coming back from, and it takes you guys like not much time at all to kind of catch up with each other.
Hey Ford, what do you know about time travel?
That it's purely theoretical. I mean, at least back where we came from. Not much. Let's put it that way. Why?
So I, as we were running, I found myself in another place at another time, talking to some dude, and this dude informed me that I had met him before, but I hadn't met him yet, although I had met him there. And that doesn't make any sense.
Like, no, it does. You know, have you ever read The Crystal Cave? I know you're into books. Remember Merlin? He was the one whose his hellos were the sorriest goodbyes, but his goodbyes were the greatest of hellos. Probably something like that. But I think you're off your rocker because that's from a book.
I don't know. Maybe it's like what we drank in that village or something. Maybe it was a hallucination, but it seemed very real. And he knew my name. It was odd.
Well, we did all see the dragon, if I remember correctly. So you know what? I wouldn't. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but until I see it myself, well, I don't know. I'll just. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of that. Probably something in something we drank. You know, I in my mind these sort of tribal this style, strikes me as the type of people that would harvest ridiculous leaves and plants and whatnot and drink them all the time and just get really high. Like that seems like what they would do. So it
Sure.
doesn't surprise me.
Well, if I stop moving again in the middle of something important, maybe just stop the big dudes.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. You know what? As long as you do the same for me, because I'm pretty sure I drank the same stuff as you. So we'll see.
So, Mac, you just catch a glimpse of Gavin kind of like jogging up to you. You can see he's kind of looking down, and he's kind of looking up at you and looking down again, and just kind of following you. And you two do end up meeting up pretty quickly. Obviously, Mac, you're a little bit winded, and Gavin, well, you're a whole lot not winded.
And I think when I see him coming, I'm going to think to myself, shit. And I would not make eye contact. I would just kind of put my head down or just kind of look off to the side as I kept walking as I reached him.
Without looking up, still looking down at these prints, I just say, been a while since last PT session, huh?
Something like that.
That's all right. Catch your breath. Wouldn't want you passing out on me. While you're gasping for air, take a look at this.
Take a look at what?
And I'm indicating the bizarre tracks.
Now, Mike, next to those tracks, would you see mine too? Would you see my boots? Would it be what I was following?
Yes, it would be, because they do seem like human shaped footprints, or at least the ones that were made like by whatever this thing was, and then your boot prints would be right beside it.
And I think I would say that to Jake, just out loud to Gavin. I'd say, human. The thing was on 4 legs, just 2 or 3 times as fast as anything I've ever seen. How's that thing have human feet?
Did you get any kind of a better look at it?
I tried, man. That thing just kept going. I just wasn't fast enough.
You know what? I wouldn't beat yourself up over it. I have a feeling there's a whole lot of shit on this place that's a lot faster than we are. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and it's probably not the best place for us to be out in the dark in the middle of the road. Let's get back to town.
I'll give one last look at these bizarre tracks and then turn and start heading back with Mac.
Same.
Okay. So you guys make your way back. It's probably at this point that the night is really starting to kind of come to an end. The sky is starting to get a little bit lighter. You can almost see kind of the first rays of sun just kind of beginning to kind of crest in and around. One thing you do notice in its absolute glory, even from the town of Fasten, is this huge, massive floating monolith, the amber monolith. The sun hitting it, it suddenly glows this brilliant yellow, like a huge beacon up in the air as the sun begins to kind of like warm the ground around you. The kiosk still remaining untouched, seems to be just fine. No one else has come in to try and take anything, and the 4 of you are reunited, kind of befuddled, standing around a kiosk in the middle of the town of Fasten.
I would say to the rest of them, knowing that our job was to watch it, so far everything's fine, I would just mention, hey, if it comes up, maybe we don't mention how eventful the night was. No reason to get her, make her concerned about what might have happened. Probably just a random wandering animal, nothing to worry about.
A random wandering animal with human feet? That doesn't make any sense.
Humanoid feet. I think you are making the mistake of expecting earthly things here.
That's all I can do.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But either way, I feel like we should just get paid and get out of here, and it's none of our business. Let's put it that way.
Fucking coward. Cowards. Whatever you want to do. You outrank me.
I would like to get paid, but I also think that it's maybe a bad way to start a new life on this planet.
Well, hey, listen, if she asks, we'll tell her. But if she doesn't, I don't know. It seems like it'd be unnecessary to scare her. She clearly has a reason for us to be watching this kiosk. And, well, if we tell her, what do you think is going to happen? She's going to ask us to watch it again, probably for twice as much money. That thing is probably her friend. It'll come and kill us, and she'll take all the money off of us. And, well, she'll have anything we have. And they got rid of some outsiders. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm trying to play it a little more safe, maybe.
Did you come up with this plan all by yourself, or are you always this scared of everything?
Listen, it's easy to be cynical when you find yourself correct so often. So please excuse me.
I see. And with that, Mac would know that he just got burned, and he would just shake his head. Yeah, whatever.
So as you guys are just kind of standing around bantering, you do see a familiar woman walking down. It is Cali. She comes in. Oh, well, did we have a good night last night?
Ford would look back at the kiosk and say, "Looks like."
Did you find the two individuals who were skulking around my cart?
And Ford would look around and say, can you describe them? I'm not sure. I mean, we may have seen a few things, but I just want to get on the same page about exactly what you might have been looking for.
Well, it was two people. They were bald. They were. No one got a good look at them, but they seemed to be very scared, very skittish.
So not somebody you would know from town, or?
No.
Mac's going to turn and just walk away. He wants to say something so bad, but he's just going to bite his tongue, turn, and just take a couple steps away from everybody.
And Ford would say, well, I think that maybe someone did hear something, but it was very dark, and I'm not sure anybody got a really good look at him.
Have you ever met a man who has half white hair and half black hair? I'll say to the woman.
Well, I mean, I cannot say that I have. There are some wandering wizards who travel this land, and perhaps sometimes even demons. But I've never seen someone with half white, half black hair. What?
It's fine, really. Don't worry about it. I thought you might know him.
Was that the person who was skulking around?
No. That was these two bald guys. Then they.
So they
did.
He
doesn't even cop it.
Well, what had happened? Did you give chase? Were they trying to steal from me?
Maybe this is normal here. They he just makes this gesture. He puts his hands together. They turned into one thing, and then they ran real fast.
And Ford would say to her a little more serious, forgive me for being forward, but do you have reason to believe that somebody would have something against you, or is there something worth stealing in this cart?
No, I have ciphers. Half of them don't even work. I don't know. They were shapeshifters, you say? Demons, perhaps? Devils? Monsters?
No. Mac would turn around. No, they weren't shapeshifters. This thing ran on four legs. Two people merged. It was like they were some type of a beast. I ran as fast as I could, and I couldn't keep up.
And
what is this thing?
Ford would say, you have us at a bit of a loss. We're not used to these things, really. So even hearing him say that out loud sounds ridiculous, but, the man saw what he saw.
I've encountered many things, but nothing like that. Maybe they would have that in one of the larger cities, but no, I do not see things like this. Did you find out where they went?
In the dark, we didn't dare follow their tracks. But in the light, I think we can follow their tracks.
I understand. Although, which way did they go?
And Mac would point to where he lost them.
Well, there is not much over there, although do be careful. There are some ruins there that many of the locals say are haunted or cursed or something like that. People go there and then they don't come back. But
And Ford would say, "Wait, did we say we were going after it?" He would direct this more toward Mac than the woman. Like, "Hey, wait a minute."
I was asked where the thing went. I told her where it went.
And then he would look at her like, and he would actually say, "Actually, there is the matter of our payment, and I think you mentioned that you didn't have much, but I mean, for a little more, maybe we could check out these ruins."
yes, well, I also remember the original price being lower, and you squeezed me for extra shins. I'm still not especially happy with this arrangement, but perhaps if you could find out the individuals who are doing this, put a stop to them, then maybe, just maybe, I will consider getting you something more.
Hey, now listen. Yeah, we may have squeezed you for a few extra shins, but because we were sure we were going to see something like two people fusing together and running off. If that thing had attacked us, we'd have been done for. So just don't get snippy, all right?
Ford. Now, I realize our original mission is a bit, well, kind of looking over at Mac. Fubar, as we would say. I still consider myself something of the director of civilian operations and liaison. So if you would maybe not yell at our friend and maybe let me handle the discussion.
You know what? That's fair. I've seen and heard a lot in the last 24 hours, and it occurs to him at that moment that he's not even sure how long a day is where he is. And he says, "You know what? You're right." And he looks at the woman and sincerely says, "I'm sorry," and kind of like steps back a little.
Ma'am, you'll have to understand that as bizarre as this thing is to you, it's so much more bizarre to us. Everything that we've just been seeing. So forgive my associate's candor. We will gladly investigate and see if we can figure out what this is. Regardless, I am not comfortable knowing that this thing is out there and may come back again. If it's a thing that can possibly have our scent, I'm pretty sure it has our scent. I'd like to track it down with caution and see what we can do about it.
Well, I would graciously accept any assistance you can give me. And she's kind of like looking like sideways, glancing over at Ford, like.
And Ford is kind of mumbles incoherently, but to himself he'd say, "Oh, now it's gladly."
And Gavin just kind of positions himself in a way to address, so that he's looking at her and blocking her view of Ford.
And I think as they're all doing this, Mac would just kind of be looking through her cart and just be like, "Hey, you got anything in this cart that maybe able to help us kill it?"
Oh, I doubt that very much, but let's have a look. So she kind of like, you see her kind of like grab, like there's no visible latch, there's no visible handle on this kiosk. You don't even see a lock. She just grabs she grabs the side of the kiosk and kind of runs her fingers along the side, and you just hear kind of an audible click. The whole thing kind of comes forward. This large panel comes forward, comes straight down, and like several shelves, like the entire thing unfolds in such a way that you don't even know how it folded that small to begin with. To see what the hell it just turned into is actually just quite large, lots of shelves, lots of things hanging up. Let's see. Well, let's see, Seskipa, no. Oh, well, I did receive a couple of things. And, she's looking around, she's kind of looking at the bottom, looking up at the top, kind of feeling around for it. Finally, she's like, oh, yes, there's this. And she kind of, it looks kind of like a laser pointer, and it has a button like just on the side. Like it literally looks like a laser pointer. And she, this, I don't know what it is, but it came to my kiosk. Someone just walked by, handed it to me, and walked off. I didn't know what it was. I know when you push the button, there's a light on top, and it kind of blinks. I don't know what it's for, but it's interesting, to say the least.
Well, I'll try to put it to good use if I can have it.
Please. I don't think I could sell it for enough money for a drink.
He'd grab it, put it in his pocket, and he would just nod. Thank you.
No problem. Well, I'm going to be open in just about 10 minutes. So if you can go and see if you can find these strange creatures, I would be very, very grateful.
But we are getting paid for the work we've done so far. Right?
Yes, you are getting paid.
Okay.
And she kind of goes into what looks to be like a strong box, and like this is a course where things get a little odd. So she opens up this little box, and it looks like a box that like just has seashells all over it. Like, one of those really tacky, touristy kind of boxes you can get. It's all the little like sand dollars and little clams and things like that. She opens it up, and you see the box is maybe 9-10 inches by about 5 inches by about 3.5 inches high. And she puts her hand straight in all the way up to the elbow, and she pulls her hand back out again. This, of course, is just sitting on a little, like basically like a little shelf with like zero bottom. It looks like basically it looks like a magic trick. She sticks her hand like all the way in up to the elbow, and she comes in. She pulls a hand out. Let's see. Here we are. And she pulls out, I guess, what looks like two shims. It looks like two basically pieces of metal with a 100 stamped on each one. 200 shims. And I believe it was each. I did mention that. So she hands you 200. She hands like 200 shins to each one of you. There. That is what you asked for. And if you are able to find out anything more, I will let you have one cipher.
Each, right?
Each.
Just making sure.
She just jumps on that one right away. Each, yes.
Yeah, Ford would have been keeping his mouth shut and looking over at Gavin. And as soon as Zeke said that, he'd just be like, okay.
I feel like Zeke is just channeling Ford.
So, what are your plans now?
Gavin turns to the rest of the group and kind of pulls them aside and says, so, what are our plans now?
And while he says that, I would take one of the shins out and compare it to the other one and say, like with just 100 stamped on it, I'd say, these wouldn't be too hard to make. But he would kind of say, he'd put them away, and he would probably say, well, it's daylight now, but I don't know about you guys, but I stayed up all night watching a kiosk and a crazy monster. Maybe a nap is in order. We've got some money. We can cover a room, but we can, I think, definitely get out there before nighttime again and see, as you guys so desperately want to, see what else can kill us out here.
But the longer we wait, the further this thing gets away. We don't know that it's stopped. It could still be going.
I'm
She
tired.
did say it was skulking around here. Yeah, I was up all night, and hell, you ran, I don't know, half a mile. I'm no soldier, but, maybe a couple hours shut-eye. If she said the thing has been constantly coming back, I don't think there's any concern that it's going to run away now. And if it does, that's not so bad for us, because we said we'd check it out. We didn't say we'd bring back a corpse.
It came here last night and seemingly before that, so maybe it'll just come here again and we can set up some kind of ambush in a. I mean, I'm not a soldier, but that seems like a good plan, right? We could put ourselves in good positions and tactics.
Mac is visibly annoyed with Ford and with Zeke, but he looks over to Gavin just for something, and he's like, "What do you think?"
Look, Ford's right. We've been up all night. We're in strange territory with no advance recon. Ford's got a good point. We need to get some rest. Zeke's got a good point. This thing came at night, and these people, if we can call them that, were skulking around here nights before. That's at least giving me the impression that they're nocturnal. A few hours shut-eye and go a little after what passes for noon around this place. I'd like to go follow these tracks over to those ruins and see if we can just scope out the area and see what we can see. If they are nocturnal, we should be able to keep an eye on things, spy things out without causing too much of a ruckus. Maybe learn something that can help us if we set up an ambush for them should they return. Plus, if we can verify that that's where they are, we have a little better idea of where they're going to come from for setting up the ambush.
That's a great point and a great compromise.
All right. Well, let's do this.
All right, so in town, so you have the literally right in front of you is the Spotted Sesky. That is the restaurant that you first met Cali in. There are grassy hillocks. If you just wanted to lay down and rest for a little while, you can too. So it's entirely up to you. You do know that the Spotted Sesky is kind of it seems more of a restaurant. You didn't see any stairs going up. You didn't really see an administration desk or anything like that. So you're not really sure if they've got any rooms. However, you do know that there are, there's lots of places that you haven't been yet. There could be an inn in town. You're just not entirely certain.
And so Ford, you just said the name of the tavern, and I've already forgotten it. The Spotted Kalish.
The Spotted Sesky.
Spotted Sesky. I was close. The Spotted Sesky. I would go up to whatever serves as sort of a bartender or a waitress type person and say, "Hello, we've got a little bit of money and we're a little tired." Assuming they were behind me, I would address or include the other people and say, "Is there a place around here we can find a bed for relatively cheap?"
What? An inn. Yes. You could sleep here on the tables. Doesn't really matter. It's not like it's very full here. But
yeah, we were looking for something a little more private, seeing how we plan on sleeping a little bit during the day.
Well, you could go by old Tupon's house. She usually has a big home. Rents rooms out for those who need it, or even opens her home. It's very nice. Tupon is one of the oldest residents here. But do be kind to her. She is an old woman. She's just down. Down. Go to Main Street and you turn left. You'll see a very large-looking house. Go there. You can find it.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, sir. And
Yeah.
I would tell them that if they weren't there, and I would head over there and try to find this big house he's talking about.
So as you tell the other people, as you kind of look around, you can kind of see like one home that's just a bit higher than the others. It's like as you kind of like move around to it, and you really can't miss it. You actually look and you see that it looks very eerily like. Geez, I'm not even sure what the architectural style is, but it looks very much like kind of what you would, those old kind of manor homes that you would kind of see in the South, like around Louisiana or Florida or something like that, like kind of this large, Doric columns, this kind of like large, completely covered porch. Like it looks like something that is transported right from America, circa 1998 to 2006. It's just eerily like it. The shingles and matter of fact. It looks extremely familiar to you, Gavin. Why does it look very familiar to
you? When Gavin was young, before he even joined the military, he used to stay with an aunt that ran a bed and breakfast in a place in Canada, just over the border from the States. And this place looks remarkably like that. It's like almost like looking at a photograph or the actual thing from his memory.
And as you see the very familiar kind of white, like kind of bright white door, and the like kind of like sunflower yellow, like wooden paneling all across it. As you guys get up to the door, the door actually opens unexpectedly, and this very like hunched over, like frail looking old woman, like kind of wispy white hair. It looks like she's just wearing very simple clothes. Hello.
Hello, the very nice fellow at the bar, the real talkative one, told us that we could find some rooms here. We've got a little bit of money, and we were hoping to a place to put our feet up and maybe get a little shut-eye. Are you Tupon?
Yes, I am Tupon Wilhelm, but please come on in. And she kind of like hunches over her cane and just kind of starts walking inside. And as you go in, the foyer, and yes, I say foyer because that's how you say it. It's not foyer. Okay, so let's just.
Are you sure it's not a foyer complete with a chase lounge?
Hey, guess what? DM Boulder, and you're dead. So as you make it into the foyer, you see this kind of beautiful, these beautiful chaise lounges and kind of like very nice looking furniture. That it's just, you can tell it's not, it's someone with like a very not a very advanced kind of furniture maker. It's very simple, but it's very nice looking. Huge bay windows all across, several sitting rooms. Door which you can almost smell. This beautiful kind of like this smell of cooking, roasting meats and everything else. Like, when you have that, you're slow roasting a chicken. You're starting it like in the morning, and you're going to have it by dinner time. She kind of leads you upstairs, and you see about like 2 or 3 doors on the one side, and she kind of opens up 2 of them. Here you are. Usually I would charge, but I don't have a lot of people in here right now. So you know what? You just go right on in. Is it how many nights do you think you're going to be here for?
And noticing the fact that she mentioned it would be free and not to worry about it, Ford would say something like, we're in town for an indefinite amount of time, but specifically we were just looking for a few rooms for today, and we may very well be back, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, since you're not paying for it, then I would say you can definitely have it for today, but if you come back, it may not be well for you then. But if you are going to use it just for today, please be my guest and stay a while. Sleep, nap, enjoy yourself, and perhaps I can come in and wake you later if you need someone to wake you.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Maybe in a couple hours, he would look at the rest of his party, specifically Mac, like, you gonna bite my head off, buddy, or can we get a couple hours sleep here?
Mac would he would just be rather quiet. Just he's visibly annoyed. He'd just say, "You sleep as much as you need. She can wake you up. I'll make sure all of us actually do get to wake up."
Gavin will go over to Mac, and Mac will immediately recognize, though maybe the others do, maybe they don't. It's very subtle. Gavin changes his posture. He seems to stand a little bit taller, but he takes on that position of a commanding officer. And he doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't change his tone. He just looks at Mac and he says, "You will get 4 hours of shut-eye, along with every one of us. I need you not huffing and puffing when we get out there later."
And for a minute, Mac would just kind of be like, "All right, yeah, okay."
And then he turns to Chupon and he says, "Ma'am, 4 hours would be, it would be,
I will wake you at noon, perhaps with some sandwiches or something. Go sleep." And as you enter into the room, you see some simple cots, just a couple of simple cots, a dresser, or at least a kind of like a night table. It's very simple. Like when someone has multiple bedrooms and they just want to have like a small guest, kind of guest room. And she nods her head and smiles and just kind of like walks, basically like kind of canes away. She walks downstairs, and you guys are basically left to two to a room each, essentially. Unless you want to be really, really paranoid and all just clamber into one because you think I'm going to kill you all in some strange fashion.
No, we're actually going to Lord of the Rings it. We're going to set up the beds, and then we're going to run across the street and sleep there. So when the Numenera ring wraiths come, we'll be in the clear. No, but I imagine, are we talking like 2 rooms with 2 beds each, or are we doubling up? Like, are we laying in a queen here together?
No, it's two separate beds.
Okay, I would probably I would go into one and expect Zeke to follow me. I'd kind of give him a look, and then the other 2. I don't know. It seems kind of the way it would go.
Yeah, Zeke agrees. Zeke is freaked the fuck out. This is weird, and it's plain in his face that he is freaked out by this situation. Like he's making no attempt to hide it. He's like, "What the fuck is going on? Why is this lady so nice to us?"
And seeing that, Ford would say, "Feels a lot like home, doesn't it? Like almost eerily so."
Yeah.
I'm trying not to think about it too hard. I mean, what's a house from our home world after time travel, right?
I guess this somehow feels weirder or creepier.
Well, maybe because it's real, and he'd kind of give him a look, like, you know.
And in our room, Gavin will lay down on the bed, and I think he moves to the bed furthest from the door, knowing that Mac is just automatically going to want that one closest to the door, but lays down with the spear kind of at his side, but he doesn't lay down fully to sleep. He's kind of propped up against the headboard, and he says, I don't want to freak these guys out, but this place looks really familiar.
You would see Mac come in and same thing. He wouldn't take anything off. He would have all of his weapons, everything on him that he could, and he would lay down on the bed, and you'd see a very, very large smile come over his face, just ear to ear, almost eerily happy. What would Gavin say to him with seeing that, Jake?
I think he would just kind of raise an eyebrow at him.
And he would just kind of go, yeah, if somebody busts into that room, both of those fuckers are going to die.
The walls aren't too thick in this place.
No, they really aren't really that thick.
That was intentional.
Get some sleep. He says it loud enough that everybody can hear.
And that's just what I was going to ask everyone. Are you all... Wait, let me try this again. Are you all going to go to sleep?
I don't think that Zeke has the capability not to. Like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
even if he tried to stay awake, he wouldn't, so he's just gone.
Okay.
Yeah, Ford would absolutely. I imagine at the moment he lays down, I imagine the bed is lumpy and like not super comfortable and creaks a little bit, and it wouldn't even matter. He would be out.
Okay. And then how about the two of you paranoid individuals?
Gavin is elven, so he goes into a trance. No, he just lays down with the just the spear at his side, and I think as much as he wants to rely on his military instinct of not slipping into deep sleep, it's been an eventful few days, a long night, and I think sleep would quickly take hold of him. He would start off in that just kind of light, okay, I'm going to just kind of keep my ear open, and just almost as if he can feel himself sink down into the mattress, he just kind of, and then he's gone.
Yeah, same. I think Mac would initially, to be staring up at the ceiling, just listening for every little sound, and his eyes would dart left and right based on what he heard. But I think after a while, that run, the time they went up, would catch up with him, and his eyes would close, and he too would fall asleep.
And as exhaustion overtakes you and you all settle into a deep sleep, you find peace. The door to yours, the bedroom of both Zeke and Ford, creaks open just ever so slightly, very, very gently, almost to a point where almost no sound is made. A figure very quietly moves up, slowly, step by step by step, very quietly, knowing every creak, knowing every raised floorboard, silently. They move up closer and closer to a point where their face is almost close to yours, Ford. Slowly, a hand reaches towards you, and that's where we're going to take our break. It's like, yes, you son of a gun. Not cool, man. That's not cool. So what I'm going to do is we're going to just take 5 or 6. Just before you guys skip off, if you guys want to plug your stuff, because you guys are awesome and your stuff deserves to be plugged. And then I will see you guys after the break. Peace out.
I'll be quick. I'm Lloyd. I run Your LDM on YouTube. If you like watching Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or Vikings, then that's a good place to see it.
I'm Drake. I run the channel The RPG Construct on YouTube. A whole bunch of live plays, play tests with Absolute Tabletop, and just various other things. But yeah, check it out.
I'm Jake, also known as Mini Terrain Domain. I'm also one half of the RPG Construct. That is not true. Something RPG-ish. I forgot her own last name. But it's Drake. Drake and I are also something RPG-ish.
You know, we don't believe anything you say now.
And I play in Drake's Dragon Grand Chronicles campaign, which we just had a session 8 last night. I also play in Lloyd's Eastcloft Eagle Feeders Viking campaign. And I run lots of live plays on my channel and miniature terrain tutorials and things like that.
Hey guys, I'm not feeling so good, so tonight I'm just James playing Ford, and I'll be back soon.
I don't know if you heard, just after you left, I did my introduction and declared myself as one half of the RPG construct. I got confused about what I do.
Oh man, it was great.
Yeah, we gotta do another recording, man. One of these days, get to that.
Yeah, Jake, weren't you on vacation? Was that like for a week? I think.
Yeah, I left last Friday and I got back yesterday. We left Florida. We left Florida Wednesday at 6 p.m. It was 92 degrees, I think.
Dude, based on the pictures I saw, you had such a Florida experience. Like, you hit all the high notes, like hotel pools and like beef O'Brady's. I know that's not just Florida, but you just nailed it.
O'Brady's.
That was not a hotel. We stayed at a 55 and over RV retirement community.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Yeah, we stayed with my parents.
Florida. Well, I was telling Jake James, my parents live in Davenport, which is right near Orlando.
Oh yeah,
and they're in one of those retirement communities where 10 years ago when they retired, they had a trailer. Now they have a 3-story. It's a trailer
stacked on top of each other,
but with a $200,000 RV parked, underneath the canopy.
Yeah.
Things worth $500,000, and I'm like, this is retirement.
Yeah,
like whatever happened. Yeah, but I think that's guys, right?
What's that?
I asked James if Davenport was close to him and James, him and Tim.
I don't know. I recognize the name, but I only recognize the name from the movie Dumb and Dumber because that's where they come from. But it's not in Florida. Let me look up where it is because I don't know.
Just curious.
Well, I got such the retirement village experience that we did water aerobics in the morning, led by Marge.
Oh, dude, I saw that.
Large Marge.
No, she wasn't large.
She was regular size.
My favorite part was at the end of the pre-recorded sessions where we just kind of did whatever was on the CD. She would have us do this. How did it go? Fingers, claws, fists, wrists. Fingers, claws, fists, wrists. And you would dip under the water and you would twist. Fingers, claws, fists, wrists. Fingers, claws. And then you would twiddle your thumbs. Twiddle your toes. Twiddle your butt. Twiddle your fingers.
Wait, how do you twiddle your butt?
Twiddle your everything.
Don't ask.
It's a lot like twerking.
Do they do that in Ireland?
More than I would like.
Oh yeah, it was such a Florida experience. I even got pictures and video of gators.
Oh yeah, like I said, just so many things. You're right on the money, man.
And we did it all without once going to a Disney theme park.
Okay, hold on a second. My parents retired in Disney. Disney was our trip every year. That was my honeymoon. That was my spring break. Okay, I love Disney. Everything about it.
I'm not slamming on Disney.
He's just saying somehow he managed to avoid it being in Florida.
Besides, you got to go to Universal, especially you to see Harry Potter World. You got to see.
Oh, I've been. Okay. I've been a couple of times, but I'm not going again until I can actually ride the rides.
Dude, I was 260, and that one ride inside the castle, there were 2 people pushing on that thing, and I got in it, but I couldn't breathe.
I was able to ride the Dragon Challenge roller coaster, and I was
Dueling Dragons.
Well, they changed it for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Back when I was with Dragons, I went to Orlando. They have that crazy bit where you come right towards the other coaster at the same time.
Yeah.
I was able to ride the Incredible Hulk roller coaster at Universal.
Yeah. But
That's
man.
That's the best one, man. That's incredible.
Like I said, even the thing that kills me is no matter how big my waist is, it can be I've had a 36-inch waist before, and I have a 52-inch chest. There's nothing I can do about it. So some of those roller coasters, it's not my belly, it's my upper body that doesn't fit. And It was
It's that same thing, Drake. I have very large man boobs.
no, it's not.
I'm just so burly I can't fit in a roller coaster.
It's not man boobs, dude.
Almighty.
I didn't say that I had moobies. Okay, man boobies. No,
just so
that's not what I meant. Jesus Christ, this is live, Jake. I
Yeah,
hate
it
you.
is.
The truth is, Drake's head is so big they won't let him on the roller coaster.
This is true. I mean, come on. You can't compare to this, Jake. Come on now. You might have the better beard, but I still got you.
Mike, for a minute, I swear to God, I thought that was a bottle of maple syrup. It just looked like it had the shape of like you're just like, listen,
it is maple
I'm there.
syrup.
That's
It
how
isn't-
No,
Canadian
it's
he
this
is.
new beer.
It's
They
not,
call
no.
it maple syrup.
Yeah, yeah, it's a maple beer, but it's beer free. But no, it's this is a beer. It's called La Maudite. It's a French Canadian beer from Quebec. The translation from French to English is it's the damned, which explains the little devil on there. It's really good.
I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
I just had some of that a couple of weeks ago.
Hey,
I have
right
a
on.
bottle of it out in my garage, the empty bottle out in the garage.
Cool.
Syrup.
Haven't had a drink in 3 months.
Wow. Also, wow. That's incredible. Good for you.
Well, I'm trying to lose. I'm down 32 pounds. So trying
That's amazing.
no, that's
I,
all Jake.
I found your 32 pounds. It was just sitting there, and it's like it wanted a home. So I'm like, no, man, come with me. I'll hook you up.
It's how the universe balances itself. I was looking at myself for this session 1 Dragon Green Chronicles the other day. And I'm like, Jesus, why didn't you guys tell me I look like a circle on my face? Like I had no idea how much weight I had put on, but I'm looking at it and it's a fucking circle. It looks like my microphone.
Honestly, you don't notice until you look back. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's what you look back and you're like, wow, I was not small.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I'm still not small, but still. Anyway, we're getting there. By July, I'll be good.
There you go. There you go.
Got to be dead sexy for Jake.
That don't even know what to say. So, you guys are tired. So, as we'll just jump right back into it. Just to let everyone know, though, I'm having a blast. I love Numenera. If you're not playing Numenera, you should be playing Numenera because Numenera is cool as hell. It combines the best parts of fantasy, but actually brings it down to a logical, this is what fantasy would look like in a scientific setting. Like, when you take all the science, it looks like fantasy because it's amazing stuff that's so far flung into the future that to us, it's magic. And that's what the cool thing. And then you can make it like that, with succubi and witches and dragons and ogres and trolls and like strange things. It's the Weird of Numenera by Monty Cook Games. It's amazing. And if you do want to run an actual fantasy setting, they have the strange. It's such an open. The whole system itself is so open, so easy. I have a D20 that's collecting dust throughout this whole session because I can't roll it because I don't have to, which is great because it means that I can just focus on giving these guys a great story, which right now I'm going to kill a player, but that's okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll just say that if you're new to Numenera and you are intimidated by the crazy amount of stuff that's there for it, I would recommend the Devil's Spine. It's a campaign that Monty Cook brought out, and it's really, really good, really weird. I would recommend it. It's a good entry point. Okay, that's all.
Right on. Well, then on that note, let's get right back into the weird of Numenera Ascension. Ford, you kind of get this feeling in the back of your head as you're kind of peacefully sleeping, kind of dozing, dreaming of DeLoreans and Byzantine empires, just like, odd things, just very peacefully, kind of sleeping. But just for a moment, you kind of snap out of it. You kind of feel, even in your dream state, you feel something is close to you, and you feel a hand kind of grabbing your shoulder.
So I imagine that would be enough to wake me. Do I see an old woman, or is it a ring wraith?
It's not a ring wraith. It's not a ring wraith. There's no sword and there's no screeching. You do see Tupon. She's kind of grabbing by the shoulder. Hello, it is noon now. It is time to wake up.
And I would wake up with a start and kind of get my bearings real quick, and not really that quick, because this looks so familiar. For a moment, Ford would probably completely forget where he was, and he would wake up. Am I the first one? Is Zeke awake, or is it just me right now?
So right now it is just you. Zeke is still fast asleep. Like this, clearly this woman knows every square inch of this house. Like she knows exactly where to step to not, kind of creak the floorboards or, kind of unnecessarily wake anyone up. She definitely has her ninja skills up like 20, up plus 20. Like she's just like silent and deadly, like a fart in an elevator. She she wakes you up very quietly, and she smiles when she sees that you're like fully conscious, and kind of like tips her head a little bit, and just kind of very quickly and very quietly kind of just shuffles out.
And I would sort of call after her, like, thank you, and kind of sit up probably and wait for her to wake everybody else up, I guess.
She doesn't. She just leaves. Like she just takes right off. Like she doesn't wake everyone else up. I woke you up. That should be enough for you. You can do it your damn self.
So then I would get up. In that case, seeing her leave, I would wait to hear the other door open, and not hearing it, and then not sure if she's just quiet or what, I'd get up and I'd probably shake Zeke, and I'd go into the other room and do my best to wake the two soldiers without, getting like punched or speared to death or something, like kind of like tapping their foot like from really far away or something.
That's smart. Clearly you want to live. This is a good thing.
As he was so careful, I think Mac would just sit up, just very, very bright-eyed, just kind of look around, startled a bit, but not do anything aggressive towards him. He just tapped his foot.
Yeah, Gavin kind of opens his eyes and looks right at Ford, and tries to put on the show of I wasn't really deep asleep, but ends up kind of blinking a little longer than he intended, and creakily pulls himself up out of bed.
And what about Zeke? What are you doing?
Yeah, Zeke would have been sleeping. He has this Siphon's remote control looking thing, and he would have been sleeping with like that under his pillow and like holding onto it. And I guess like he would wake up and he would like see that it's not a monster, and he would like take his finger off the button and just like groan a lot, make a big deal of being tired, but get up.
And as the four of you rouse, Tupon kind of comes in as, I guess, the four of you are kind of like congregating. She comes in with like a small wooden tray with what looks to be like some type of a sandwich. It's like very thin. There seems to be something on it, like butter or something, with this kind of like very light, this kind of like, it almost looks like a cucumber, basically, like a very, just big, like a cucumber sandwich. And she brings these, like she kind of sets it down, and for you, enjoy. And she kind of walks away.
So as she's walking away, I would want to give her some money for all of this help, but I want to give her an amount of money that isn't offensive. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll give her like a couple shins. And that would be like if somebody came into your room, let you sleep at their house. Oh, I want to make sure it's not. Gives you cucumber sandwiches, and you're like, here's like 4 pennies. I don't remember what the money's worth, basically. So I wanted to give her some.
To be perfectly honest, you actually don't know what money is valued at. Like
Okay,
you
that makes
guys,
sense.
yeah, like I see what you just did there.
So I would probably then take like 2 for each of us, so 8 shins, and kind of, I'd say two pawn, and assuming she turned around.
Yeah, and she kind of stops and kind of turns around, like she had dropped the tray off and just kind of like grabbed her cane and yes.
And I'd walk over to her and I'd just kind of put some in her hand and like close it, like don't look at this until you walk out. Like I'd say, thank you, basically. I wouldn't say until you walk out.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
I'd say,
and
there's a chance we won't be back, so I just wanted to give you something for your trouble.
You're too kind, young man. And she just kind of hobbles, kind of walks away. So you have you got a tray there. You got some grub, some lunch. She does leave like a kind of like a there's some water there. So I mean, you guys can obviously you can have your water, you can have your sandwiches. Whoever does eat a sandwich, as you bite into it, it definitely tastes not like a cucumber sandwich. As you bite into it, it kind of has this. Actually, you know what? I would like each one of you to tell me what it tastes like. And you're going to draw back on your memories from home, from your character.
Could you describe it again? Like what exactly it looks like? Colors and everything?
Basically, it literally looks like a cucumber sandwich with the crust cut off on white bread. I
don't know what that is.
That's cucumbers on bread, and the crust is that's it. It's not like you're like sushi. I'm like, I don't know.
No, I thought it might have been something.
I'm sorry.
And you know the sad part is now that's on YouTube and it ain't never going away.
Can we have when we're in Tacoma, can we get cucumber sandwiches? So I just know.
Cucumber sandwiches strike me as something that is like worthless. Like it's like water on bread. Like I'm
exactly.
Screw that.
That's all it is. It's just cucumbers and bread.
A nutrient in there.
Basically,
I imagine
with a little bit of either mayonnaise or a little bit of butter, and just together, and then you eat it.
That sounds gross. Okay.
And usually they're cut into triangles. Actually, to be honest, they're not terrible.
They're good.
Yeah,
they are
surprising.
Like
cucumbers,
they're surprising. I think that's the best word for it.
I'm sorry to break the immersion. I just really didn't know what it was.
I can tell you right now, I did not anticipate this cucumber tangent going on today, but I'm glad it
happened. This is our dread gazebo.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So each one of you, as you take a bite into it, each one of you tell me what it tastes like.
So Ford would after taking a bite out of this, he would, in his mind, it would taste a lot like cucumber sandwiches, and he would have this thought, but it wouldn't make sense. Like if he said it out loud, he understands that he'd sound really stupid. But if cucumbers tasted more purple, like they're the same color, but he just bites it and he's like, like biting that, it strikes me that it should be different. But he would again be a little unnerved that after all the ridiculous stuff he's seen, this very nice old woman in this, plantation-like home gave them cucumber sandwiches. He'd be getting a little closer to the way Zeke felt about how this is even weirder than some guy slapping himself together and galloping off.
Zeke takes a bite and it's like really crunchy. He's like, man, I mean, this is a bratwurst. This is just like, it's a hot dog, a German hot dog. It's got sauerkraut on there and mustard. And he's like, huh? It's like his favorite thing. He doesn't get it. But he's like not stopping to eat. He's just not stopping eating. He's like really into it, but he's confused.
And Mac would grab one and he would take a small bite, just looking a little bit confused, and he would very quickly just kind of look around for some place to spit it and just spit it out. The taste of this thing reminds him of a meeting he had with one of his generals years ago, before he was demoted for striking an officer. It was something that was put out for as just kind of refreshments as he was basically being removed from his unit. For him, in his mouth, just because of the memory, it's sour, just nothing but sour.
Gavin bites into his sandwich, and he expects that it will taste like a cucumber sandwich. That's what it looks like. And like the house itself, it reminds him of the bed and breakfast that his Aunt Helen ran. And as he bites into it, he's actually surprised to taste an extra crunch and get the taste of radish, which was something that only his Aunt Helen did, was to put slices of radish on the cucumber sandwiches that she served with lemonade. And it just brings him back to his childhood again.
As you guys enjoy these cucumber sandwiches, or these bratwurst sandwiches, or these demotion sandwiches, which I'll forever be known as, or purple cucumber sandwiches, you're left feeling, well, most of you are left feeling somewhat full. For you, Mac, you do remember that in the packs that you were given on your way out of Thuz Askin, the Gurash did give you guys some nice dried meats and some other things. You're able to at least have some jerky if you don't don't like the sandwiches at all, which you clearly don't. You do have access to at least some type of jerky that you didn't really find out what kind of meat it was, but at this point,
yeah, it's fine. He would absolutely do that. He would just grab a large piece and just kind of chomp down on it as everyone else is eating.
All right. So now that you guys have finished eating, got some water in you, feeling pretty good about that. What are you guys planning on doing?
I would ask, you guys ready to go? Because I'll be standing behind you the whole time, looking mostly at Mac and Gavin.
Yeah, we can do this. I just got all my stuff together and start walking downstairs.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I'd like to just follow these tracks to their source and just see what we can figure out.
Sure thing. You guys head downstairs and head back towards Cali's kiosk. You see that she is conversing with a couple of customers, and kind of they're basically almost exchanging ciphers, back and forth. You kind of look between two of the smaller homes where the creature kind of hopped through and kind of moved through. You notice that the tracks still appear fairly good. The ground is fairly soft, especially after the fact that, a double four-legged human contortionist thing, kind of meandered its way, pressing all of its weight down. And it seems like the tracks themselves, the footprints, are actually compressed fairly deeply, indicating that whatever this thing was either pressed all of its weight down on its feet, or it seems to be fairly heavy for its size.
And where are we seeing this now? How far out are we?
So right now you had just passed the homes, and you just see the trail kind of moving out to like out of town, kind of, and you see like a little ways in the distance, not that far. You see the hill that kind of took the wind out of your sails as you were running.
I think Mac would definitely take the lead and just keep staring down and just following the tracks, but only looking 10 or 15 feet ahead, just making sure that he follows the tracks and leads the way.
Sounds good. And the rest of you will be following? Okay. So as you're moving, you see these tracks, like this compression, because and then you start getting flashbacks to you start remembering more about how the creature kind of lumbered, and as it like kind of galloped, pretty hefty. There's a couple times where it leapt and it bounded, and you see like the footprints kind of slamming into the ground, and then you just remember it jumped over here and it moved over here. You start to kind of lose the tracks a little as you get to that hill. That was too hard on you. So what I need you to do is make me a perception check. And that'll be intellect if you don't have perception.
It's going to be a 5.
Okay. So, all right, you got yourself, all right, right on. So as you start to kind of look around, you start to get kind of confused between what was your tracks and what was the creature's tracks, as things kind of started to move around a little bit. However, both Zeke and Ford, you kind of pick up on it, and you kind of see where like a couple of divots, like they look like fresh divots, were kind of like slammed into the ground just as the hill gets crested, and you see a few more that are leading right into the ruins.
And Ford would say something like, based on these tracks, it may not be as nocturnal as we thought, so just keep your wits about you.
And so I'm assuming, like, are you guys gonna go into the ruins, or are you just gonna kind of like go off to one side, or just want to?
Mac would go slowly, just kind of taking it all in, kind of as like a soldier would take one step at a time, just kind of scanning for any movement or anything. But he would definitely follow the tracks into the ruins.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd follow him.
Great. So as you guys start kind of slowly going down the hill, you guys like going to be like in a line, or just kind of in a clump, or like just like in a straight line, kind of going down?
Straight line formation.
So kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like spread out. Okay. So as you guys start making your way down the hill, you get closer to the ruins, and you actually see a couple of signs that are written in truth, and they do say things like warning, cursed land, warning, haunted, ghosts, demons, stay away, danger, kind of basic warning signs, but for something that to you seems silly, supernatural.
Well,
well, now hang on a second.
I don't know that it does to Zeke, to be honest. He's already seen enough weird stuff, and seemingly has traveled through time, that when he sees these signs, he's like, guys, I don't know. I mean, what do we know? We saw a dragon. What if there are demons? Maybe we should just, not go in here.
And Ford would look at him kind of with like a, don't look at me look, like I'm following these guys.
We're not hunting a demon. We're hunting what we saw last night. Sure, it's fast, but it'll bleed.
Yeah. But I'll bleed. And so will Ford. And so might you guys. you know, and that's like a real concern. I can't punch my way out of a paper bag. This is, I don't know. I should get a job as a librarian or something. You know, what am I doing here?
I think Mac would just kind of look back at Gavin and just be like, "You gonna say something to these guys?"
We're all responsible for each other, and we are all responsible for ourselves. When it comes down to it, you've already proven that you can handle some weird shit. So you need to stop doubting yourself, and let's work together to survive this place. But you do have a point. Let's be cautious.
Mac would nod, and he would look at Zeke and very condescendingly say, "You feel better?"
He like looks at you and he goes, "Hoorah!"
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, grind it till you find it. So as the four of you kind of walk past all the warning signs, you see like kind of like partial chunks of wall. They look like old stone, seem like limestone or something. A lot of them have been eroded through either wind or water, or even both. Some bits are like kind of like just jutting out of the ground, but you can see that it's masonry. It looks so old, though, that it seems like whatever mortar was in between these stones had long since eroded away, and the stones themselves have just basically fused together into large clumps with just these like just kind of divots into it. And you see pieces. Like some walls are actually about a good 6 or 7 feet high. Other walls are about a good 10 feet high. Some are only 3 feet high. And it's all scattered around very, very haphazardly. But to a trained eye, you could almost see how this might have been a large building built near this river once. A long time ago. You're not exactly sure when, but who knows how long it was.
I think we'd just be following the footprints.
So as you follow the footprints, you go deeper and deeper into this kind of labyrinth of broken down walls. I need all of you to make a perception check. And there it is. Oh, geez. So, Mac and Gavin, your eyes automatically just kind of snap to one area as you see the same two skulking bald figures kind of moving from one wall to another. They seem to be hiding. They seem to be kind of moving, kind of like ducking in lower down. Now, for you, Gavin, as you're walking, all of a sudden you hear something. It's almost like a very, very high pitched noise, and it's coming from Mac's pocket. Or sorry, excuse me, not Mac's pocket. It's coming from Ford's pocket. As you're just able to pick it up, you're like most individuals wouldn't be able to hear it, but it's just that tiny register. You can just get a sound from it in this very quiet area.
Keeping an eye on these figures that we see. Only Mac and I have seen them.
Yeah, your eyes just automatically snap right to the.
I make a movement toward. I just kind of give a and make a movement toward Ford, and kind of try to catch his arm or something with the butt of my spear, and keeping my eyes and spear pointed toward these figures. I'm listening to see where exactly on him this is coming from. Is it coming from his pocket, you said?
Yes. Yeah, it's coming from his pocket. It seems to be making just just the faintest of sounds.
I'm not even going to say anything. And I'm just going to reach with one hand and just kind of, this is going to be awkward at first because I'm not looking, but I'm reaching over and I'm starting to pat around your pocket area, Ford, and I'm going to reach into your pocket to where this is coming from, because I think I know what might be making this sound. So I'm going to reach for the pocket where I saw him pocket this this thing that Cali gave him.
And while he's doing this, Mac's eyes are going to be locked on these guys. But out of the corner of his eye, he's going to see Gavin patting Ford's pants down, and he would just really kind of, do you really think that's the right time for this?
I'm actually more interested in what Ford's reaction is to this.
Ford would be probably completely silent, because he would feel very out of his element, and just be he would expect that Gavin knows what he's doing. So when Mac says that, Ford would look at him like, what are you, crazy?
So I'm going to, as long as Ford's not interfering, I'm going to pull this laser pointer thing out of Ford's pocket, assuming that's the cylinder that I grab hold of.
I had the laser pointer, not Ford.
Oh, I thought Ford did.
You can still
So
reach
what
around
did you
my
pull
pocket
out of his
for a
pocket?
cylinder.
Okay, so I don't have no idea what I'm reaching for in his pocket then. Hey, we were all tired. We'd been up all night, and Ford had extorted some little girl for concession cart. At any rate, I'm wrist deep in Ford's pocket, grabbing at something that's making a whistling noise.
You are
You're
100% muted, Mike.
Man, it's a good thing it's not my Star Wars game.
You were frozen on my screen, so I didn't know what was going on.
That's probably a good thing, or else I'd be giving out all sorts of bonus points. Man, those guys are relentless. So as you reach into his pocket and pull it out, you know for a fact, Ford, that you didn't have something like this. But it's as you pull this thing out of your pocket, or you pull this thing out of his pocket, Gavin, and it looks very similar to what Mac has. And it's a little blinking light that's flashing. And it's starting to pulsate a little bit quicker. It's almost like a light on top.
Does it change in tone or anything as it's pulled out into the open?
No, it seems to be doing the exact same thing that it had been doing in his pocket the entire time. So it's, again, it's just like it's starting to pulsate the light.
I just look at Ford with
and
this.
Ford would look Yeah, Ford would look at you as well and kind of be like, "It's not mine," and like very much, yeah, very much looking at you like shaking his head and kind of, "Hey, do what you want with it. Like we have so few possessions, and I know that for sure that's not mine."
Zeke is staring intently at it, this thing. And he's like looking at it, wondering how it works. He's like, what is it? And he like concentrates hard and accidentally activates it from where he's standing. I don't know if that does anything, but I'm going to use my distant activation power.
God, I hope it's not a grenade.
Yeah, me too.
All right. You were
But
all
I figure
pulled,
this is how Zeke like starts to realize he can do this. He does it a few times, right?
you were all pulled into a negative dimension where gravity is 75,000 times stronger. You were all crushed into the size of atoms.
Good
And
campaign,
that's
guys.
our campaign. That's right. That was
Well done.
you guys. No.
Heavy.
So as you concentrate on this thing, like, you see him, you see Gavin kind of holding this thing and this kind of light begin to pulse. But then as you stare at it intently, the more you stare at it intently, you realize the pulsing is, there's a pattern to it. And in your mind's eye, you suddenly see the kind of pulsing stop, and on a wall, on a 6-foot wall that's kind of right beside you guys, giving you guys a bit of shielding, you actually see it kind of flash. And this is only to you. You kind of just see it flash, and you see a grid, and you see 4 green dots, and you see 1 white dot kind of in this grid-like pattern.
Okay. How big is the grid, and where is it in relation to us?
The grid
In relation to the green dots.
So the green dots seem to be kind of in the kind of like a quarter of the way, and just kind of like situated in kind of like the slightly bottom right hand. The white dot is situated probably north and then east by like just a couple of points. It doesn't have a shooting pattern, but you can tell, like, as the 4 of you are kind of in that grid, it doesn't seem to be too far away. So it's not like it's thousands, like it wouldn't be like thousands of miles away or anything.
And I'm the only one who sees it?
You're the only one who sees it at the moment.
Oh, okay. Right.
As you concentrate on it, like you kind of see it first, and then as you kind of like kind of shake your eyes for a moment, the thing actually stops pulsating, and almost like a line kind of like knocks to a wall, and then it kind of like opens up this kind of grid in this area.
I think Zeke would be like, oh shit, and then he's like, oh, hey, look at that.
Max still hasn't taken his eyes off these guys, but it's almost like he's looking not directly at them, just in their direction, trying to play off that he actually sees them.
All right, are you standing in the open? Like, are you just kind of like standing up, or are you taking cover and kind of...
I'd be in the open.
Okay. As you are kind of like staring in their direction, they begin to kind of walk. You can see them, but they don't seem to walk like people. They don't seem to walk properly. Like they're both kind of looking around, and one locks eyes on you. It stops for a moment, and it looks at you, takes a step back, and you kind of hear a bit of a chirping, but like it's coming from it, and it kind of chirps to the other one, and the other one chirps back at it, and then it kind of like pokes its head, and it almost seems to extend its spine a little and kind of like lean out so it can get a better look, and it kind of locks eyes on you. And then they both look at each other, they chirp a bit, and then they start backing up towards kind of the center of these ruins.
I think Mac would just kind of glance away real quick, just trying to fake it like he didn't see it, and he would just kind of whisper to everybody, just guys, over there, look over there, and just kind of nodding, jutting his head that way.
As these things are moving, well, first of all, just to make sure I understood it, after Zeke saw what was going on with the device, did it actually activate and we can now see this grid?
Yes, all of you can now see this grid on this wall. It's a bit faint, but you can see it.
So my first thought is, as these things are kind of backing away, is there any correlation in their movements to any movement of these dots?
No, there is not. There's only one dot. It is kind of in the center, and those things do not appear on this, what seems to be this map.
I think I would take a single step toward them.
And as you do, you see them kind of get startled. They kind of both leap back as they didn't notice you before, but as you kind of step up and behind, from behind the wall and look, they both kind of get startled and they both start running. They don't connect themselves, but they both start running, and you see them going through this kind of ruined archway. It's basically just an archway, an open archway. You can see past it all the way out to the river. But as they move into the archway, they disappear.
Ford would say, sort of out loud to everyone seeing them have disappeared, and the thing in my pocket and everything they've seen so far, and he'd say, what, people connected to each other and galloping off isn't enough? Now there's portals?
Hey, man, there might be cake.
It's a lie.
We won't know what's over there unless we go over there. We need to go check it out.
I'm right behind you, boss.
I'm sure you are. And Mac would just start heading that way. He really wouldn't wait for everybody. He would just kind of spring into, as quickly as he could, head that way with his weapon drawn.
So as you begin to run kind of towards that location, you don't see anything other than just this kind of like what looks to be an old archway. The stones just kind of still still kind of like placed on themselves. Gravity doing all the work, kind of ending into a point, kind of in the Gothic arch style. You don't see anything above, like on top of it. It just seems like a plain old stone, a plain old keystone. Around it is nothing. And looking through the archway, you still see the river. You still see, like more walls and just the grass, kind of carrying through. Everything is just as it is.
Mac would just kind of stand there puzzled and wait for everybody else.
And is everyone else going to kind of catch up? And
yeah.
All right. So as you two, or the rest of you, kind of like meet up with Mac, you see exactly what as I've told you. This archway, kind of hooked up. Don't see much of anything else. It just seems like a set of ruins, which would be kind of cool for an archaeologist. However, these ruins, again, like as you look at the stone, I mean, you do kind of get the sense that this place is really, 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 really old.
So did they go through this archway without a trace?
As soon as they stepped through the archway, they were gone. They just disappeared. Like you couldn't see them past the archway. They walked through the arch. It was just, that was it.
Well, I think I'm beginning to think Zeke's plan might be the way to go.
And so we haven't walked through it, or he already has walked through it. Nothing happened.
Who's going to walk through it?
Did anybody walk through it, is what I'm asking. Because if not, then I'd say, which one of you guys wants to walk through first? I would say to...
Well, those two creatures walked through it, and they disappeared.
Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. So I would say to Mac and Gavin, I'd say, so who's first?
Yeah, I wonder who that's going to be. And Mac would head through the arch.
Okay. So for the rest of the group, as Mac walks through the arch, you just see him walk through, but he doesn't emerge on the other side. Even though everything seems like he is just simply stepping through an archway and should be just fine, as he walks through, he just doesn't materialize on the other side. Even staring at him at his back, walking through the arch, he just walks through and is just like swallowed up and is just, that's it. Now for you, Mac, as you walk through the arch, all of a sudden it's like a curtain just gets pulled to one side. And you stand there, you're looking at this incredibly long hallway. The walls on either side of this hallway, all of them have arches very similar to the one you just walked through. However, a lot of them are bricked up. The in between the hallway are these it's just kind of stone going up, but up top it just seems like darkness. However, it is not completely dark. The this darkened veil is pierced by these huge geometric patterns of light, almost like thin strips of neon, kind of just in these massive parabolas, and just kind of in this wave pattern, just moving forward. And you can even see small pulses as they go, and they almost hit points, and those points continue to pulse through and hit other points, and then some of those points fade. And then other points are actually created from nothing. All you see is darkness, and suddenly light just begins to hit point to point to point, and then winking out, and then an entire line disappearing, and a brand new line kind of opening point to point to point to point, continuously on in every conceivable fashion. I mean, if you weren't so sure that there was something to it, you would almost say that it's just a beautiful artistic thing that you were looking at. You muted, mate. Ha ha.
Do I see anything like behind me from like where I came through?
Yes, you see an archway. You see the archway behind you.
Okay.
And as you look back at the archway, you see nothing but just blackness.
Okay. I think he would stand there and just kind of be puzzled for a minute, expecting someone else to come through. He would just kind of take it all in and just kind of quickly glance around and, kind of get the lay of the land, and just wait for someone else to come through.
And Ford would look over at Gavin, like, you next. Like, he would just look at him kind of like, After you, but he wouldn't say anything.
While I have absolutely no qualms about stepping through after Mac, do you two want to be left out here without your soldiers? That sounded a little more codependent than I meant it to sound, but without your soldier men.
And
Sorry.
Ford would sort of walk near the archway and say, "Well, I think we're just going over." He would kind of pretend it seems very normal. Like, I think we're just walking, over to wherever this goes. I don't think it's going to be. And he would kind of trail off, and he'd say, "Well, you've got a point." And he would walk through the archway as well.
And of course, as you walk through the archway, you see Mac, and again, you see this spectacular light show above you. You see this, you see all these archways going down. A lot of them are walled off, but to your, like a little ways down to your right, you do see one that is open, or at least open as far as you see blackness. Behind you, of course, you do see the one that you just entered from is also black. You see a few more that are black on your left-hand side, and you see, like, just down the hall, you see a few more that aren't walled up, and you see one directly in front of you at the end of the very hallway. This is also blackened.
And Ford would, if possible, turn around and walk back out and tell Gavin that there's nothing to worry about. Gavin and Zeke, who is at this point probably zoning out like last time.
All right. So as you walk out back through, and everything's fine. You do see Zeke there, and you do see Gavin. And Gavin and Zeke see you guys, just see his head just kind of materialize out of nowhere, and the old thumbs up. Everything's fine. He kind of just kind of goes back in.
I imagine having to kind of encourage Zeke that it's okay, but I would kind of urge Zeke through ahead of me, and then I will follow.
So again, as you head on through, you see everything that was put out before you, and the light show again is just constant. It's constantly moving. It's constantly changing. But at the same time, what you notice is that even though it's changing and moving around, it still seems to stay the same. But it doesn't. It moves, it evolves, but it seems like it has parameters as it kind of flows through this ceiling. And not only that, as it is doing it, it is providing all of the light that you guys need for this whole long hallway.
I think Mac would just kind of look at Ford and be like, "What the hell is all this?"
And Ford would say, "Well, I'm no expert, but it looks like a sort of a hub of sorts. With I imagine that those, pointing to the other archways that he sees, the blackened doors and the the walled up ones would say, I imagine those lead to other places. And based on books and movies I've seen back on Earth, to potentially different times and very far away. So I would just keep an eye on this one, and I'd be careful. It would be very easy to get lost in a place like this because we have no idea where it could take us."
Well, wherever we go, let's try to stay together. I don't mind going first, but let's not get split up.
Works for me.
What do you guys want to check out?
So just to let you guys know, as you guys are like looking down the hallway, the first like kind of open archway is on your right hand side. It's one like just kind of black, it's an open black. There's no, there's no opening to it. There is an opening, but there's no like, can't see any light. You can't see where it leads. It's just a kind of, it's kind of a dark, incredibly dark, kind of it almost looks like a tunnel into blackness. And really quick, just to let you know, Zeke, so as soon as you step through the portal, as everyone else has, and you're sheep, so just accept it.
Yep.
One of the things that you do notice, and I'm not sure if you were around to hear it, but there were lights in this long hallway. So you guys have gone through this portal. There's this huge hallway. A lot of the other archways that look exactly similar to the one that you came through are all walled up. There's a couple ones that are actually open, but they're black. Even looking behind the one you came in from, it's entirely black. It's just like a black void. But above in the ceiling, you see these like parabolic shapes of light, these thin bands of light kind of running through, and some of them stop at points and kind of carry on and go to points, and then like it'll hit a point and then the whole line just kind of disappears, but then a new one comes up in its place and it goes from like point to point to point. Every single one kind of stops in different areas and these lights just keep flowing. It's almost like they're moving in a direction, but at the same time, they're still creating this light, this beautiful ambient kind of soft blue light that kind of enhances the stone, enhances the shapes, but it just, it kind of keeps a very nice, a very nice soft light. Doesn't like kind of hurt the eyes kind of thing.
Okay.
And again, so as you guys are standing in the hallway, the very first kind of blackened opening archway is on your right-hand side. You see 4 more opened archways kind of like down a little ways. And then at the very end of the hallway, you do see one that's kind of illuminated by these blue lights. You see this one at the very end of the hallway that's kind of darkened or blackened in its own right.
So, the dark ones are the light ones, gents. Which way are we heading?
I'd like to take a look at Ford's dot grid generator thing again and see if there's any change in the pattern of the dots that
Oh yeah.
from what we saw.
So I imagine that came with us, or I probably still had the device, or he still did. So is it being projected on something here now?
Actually, so as you pull it out, it stops flashing. It has stopped flashing and basically shut off.
Curious.
When you pull that
and
out, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that happened when we walked through, or I wouldn't have noticed, or because I probably would have had it out. And so it turned off when I walked through, or just in general is now off, and there's not a simple way to press a button to turn it on.
It's now off. You do see a button on the side, or at least it looks like a button. It looks very much like a laser pointer, except there's like a little bit of a, instead of like the kind of like, the little laser kind of like inset into it, it's actually just a little bulb on top is basically how the whole thing kind of looks.
Okay. So I would press the button slowly.
You press the button and you have a lightsaber. No, you press the button and it's not that universe. As you press the button, it doesn't do anything.
And then so sort of like that moment of anticipation where you very slowly, I press it and nothing happens. So I press it a bunch more times, like over and over again, like kind of, I guess, whatever. And I would just sort of start thinking out loud to everyone. Like, so just like where we came from, these doors could literally lead to anywhere. And when I say anywhere, I mean into a underground cave that's 1,000 degrees, or really high up, or so I'm not sure what to do because I don't really feel safe going in any of them. but clearly that creature went somewhere.
Zeke, what are you thinking?
Light over dark. Almost always.
All right, keep in mind every single one of these archways looks like black. It's all completely black. So it looks like you basically would be like walking into a pitch black room. The only lights are from this like kind of ether where you can't even see, the complete. You can't even see the ceiling. All you see is just kind of a black haze all the way down this hallway with all these lights kind of going in. So they all look the same, every single one of these archways. Yeah.
And the lights are kind of pulsing in direction, right? They're like pulsing.
Yeah, they seem to be flowing. It's almost like they're flowing like a river, but they seem to be stopping, like just kind of stopping at a point and then like glowing really brightly and then moving on. And then glowing really brightly and moving on and glowing really brightly. And then all of a sudden the entire like kind of band of light just kind of like winks out. And then another one kind of starts up like just a little ways over and kind of pulsates and, and just keeps on going and then just keeps on winking out.
Is there a discernible pattern?
None that you could see. It does seem random. It does seem really random, but at the same time, like the only thing that you can tell for certain about what is going on is that it does seem that it goes for a little ways. It kind of stops at a point. It brightens up at that point, and then it carries on. And each one does this. Like there's like, 30, 40, 50 of these like bands, these like thin kind of lines of light that just kind of like band up and then glow really brightly at certain points and then just keep on, just keep carrying on.
This is all way too involved for Mac. He's just looking around looking for some type of direction. He won't act without an order at this point.
Which way did they go, Mac? Did you see? You were the first one through.
No, by the time I got in here, there was nothing. What you see now is exactly what I saw. I ain't heard nothing. I don't see nothing.
Is there any kind of markings? Did you say the floor?
The floor is kind of odd in that normally with a floor, if it's a stone floor or something to that effect, you would actually see like lines, like masonry lines. You lay a stone here and you lay a stone here. This actually looks like it's one complete piece of stone. It's like a piece of stone the length of a hallway, and the hallway, I would say is probably about 50 or 60 feet long, if not more. It's quite a long hallway. And, again, well, actually I should say is more like about, 200 or 300 feet with all the archways going through and whatnot. It just looks like to be one like incredibly long piece of stone that is completely, smoothed down to a point where you could probably make a level off of how straight this floor is. It is so absolutely like cut and perfect. But however, what you do see within the stone are like these veins of like almost like pinpoints of like golden light that every so often seem to flash. And as you guys stand closer to certain points of it, it seems to like kind of move. Like these little pinpoints of light begin to like kind of shoot through the stone, almost like a circuit throughout the entire thing. And you can still see like even in the distance, from the blue light, you see this golden light on the floor just kind of flashing every so often, moving, to the right, to the left, moving forward, moving backward, like certain, like just moving in a pattern that, again, you don't quite understand.
So, was there any kind of Gavin's at a loss here. He's so far out of his element. I guess he's just looking for any trace of dust or dirt that these things may have brought in with them when they came through this archway. Obviously, they're not going to leave tracks on the cement if it is cement, but maybe there's some, dust or something to indicate where they went. Otherwise, it's a crapshoot.
Well, essentially, you see, like, as far as the hallway is concerned, everything seems completely and utterly clean, like almost surgically. And for what of stone, old stone walls and whatnot, like, it just seems strange. You do see down the entire hallway, in total, 7 archways, 6 if you don't include the one that you guys just came out from. And these open archways, again, are pitch black, and you have no idea where they go. So basically, it'd be 3 on the right-hand side, 2 on the left-hand side, and 1 directly in front of you.
So you mentioned there was one open to our right. That was one of the first ones.
That is correct.
Could I stick my head through it? Like, does it require that I go all the way through, or could I, like, just peek in there? Like, if I could, like, put a hand on the side of the archway and just...
I would say, you could try.
I would love to try that. I would just kind of be like, all right, I guess this is this is how science works. Let's figure this shit out.
You're like the worst scientist ever. Hey, let's stick my face in there.
Hey, man, when all else fails, I'm like, they went somewhere.
Let's not put a spear or a stick through it. Let's just stick my face in it. You, sir, are badass. But okay, if you want to stick your face in it, have at her.
Yeah, so like I said, I would kind of put my hand on like one side of it if I could, so that I can just kind of lean in and quickly pull back if it's just all acid or something.
Okay, so
I'm curious what Zeke feels about your scientific method.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I imagine his only thought would be, better you than me, because he's curious too, I know it.
Yeah.
As you put your face in, and you feel like at first everything goes fine, but you kind of feel this resistance. And it's this like thick kind of a fluid, like an amniotic fluid. It's very, very thick, very viscous. And you try and stick your face in, and trying to you can barely open your eyes, and when you do, they sting like a son of. It's like when you try and open your eyes when you're swimming in the ocean and you're not used to it, and you just like, no, I'm going to keep them open because I want to see the beauty of the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, but it just stings like a mofo. Like, it just hurts like you wouldn't believe. And quickly you put your face back, and it's like your skin feels like it's on fire, and you're just wiping your eyes, like it just hurts, and you're actually going to take 2 might damage from that.
And so after that, and kind of all of that,
just so we're clear, your might's not at 0, right?
No.
Okay, that's good.
I've plenty. Yeah, I'm dead. No. So, but I would look at the rest of them after kind of like rubbing my face and say, "Well, I was half right. Who's next on the archway roulette here?"
Okay, I have a plan. So Zeke, he like stands in front of the blackness, and he just like lifts his hand up, and then he like concentrates on it like he had concentrated on the cipher that he had seen, and he's trying to like elicit that same concentration. He like takes a deep breath, and he's going to use his scan ability.
Okay.
So that, if you know what that does, it scans a 10-foot area.
Yeah, beyond the yeah. So I as you scan it, like as you kind of press your hand towards it and kind of concentrate really hard, you get this feeling of youth. You get this feeling like you almost see energy in its youngest form. It is moving around like it's almost like if energy was alive and it was moving carefully through this kind of amniotic fluid, but like everything is so condensed. Everything is so condensed, and you know you can feel it getting hotter and hotter, and as it condenses more and more, as you know energy begins to swirl around like these kind of writhing snakes, just eating this amniotic fluid and getting like pulling it tighter and tighter and tighter, and as these energy snakes, these things kind of try and like get closer. They just keep getting closer and closer until it begins to like go into a ball, and this ball begins to condense into more and more like tighter and tighter. This amniotic fluid begins to get hot, really hot, so hot that it just starts to sizzle and burn away, and suddenly you just your scan, like this idea, this thing in your mind, you just feel this explosion, like 10, 20, 50 trillion of the most powerful nuclear weapons ever created had suddenly gone off in your head. Your nose starts to bleed. The very feeling of power and eruption and explosion, but at the same time, it's tinged in the back end of life of a new beginning. And that is what you feel in your head with the scan.
Fuck. So I think Zeke is like thrown across, like he's standing up in front of this black thing, and like even though there's no actual force, he's like lifted off his feet and like thrown onto the ground, and there's like blood pouring from his nose and from his ears, and he's just I saw the universe being born.
And I kind of, rubbing my eyes, still say, well, I shoved my face into some sort of acid, so, you know, I'm not surprised. And I would look to the other two, Gavin and Mac, and say, what do you guys think?
I'm liking this less and less.
Standing here isn't doing anything. Good or bad, make a decision. None of these options look good. Make a decision, good or bad, and let's all just do it together.
Zeke is like crying on the ground, like tears of like wonder coming off his face. He's just like, it's so amazing. I can't believe it.
Mac would slap him. Get a hold of yourself. You're in charge. You're our damn commander. Get a hold of yourself.
He's just like laughing. He's like,
So 1 down. You have 5 more to go. As you look down, the next closest one to you is actually on your left. It is behind you, followed by a right. Like everything seems after you went to this first one on the right, and congrats on being the midwife to the entire fucking universe. You know, it begins to stagger. You see one on your left, and then one on your right, and then one on your left, and then one on your right, and then one dead in front of you.
And so Ford, you know, having seen that and everything going on, he would sort of deduce that maybe the one in front of them, you know, the one furthest down on the end is going to be the best, but would suggest something I think maybe somebody brought up before, which is, you know, sticking a spear or some other inanimate object through beforehand so that we don't kill ourselves or otherwise witness the birth of the universe. So I would suggest that to the party, like, well, let's try what I would consider the main one, but like throw something through it or poke something through it or something like that.
Well, and to be fair, none of us really know what caused Zeke's sudden breakdown, because unless I'm mistaken, everything you've been doing is manifesting inwardly. Other than the bloody nose, there's no outward representation of what you're doing. So to Gavin, it kind of feels like you're losing control of yourself overall. It feels like this world is getting the best of Zeke, and I think Gavin wants to, especially after Mac's declaration about him being in charge. He says, "You know what? I think I'm going to take the initiative here, and we're going to do a quick, like you said, Ford. We're going to do a quick check without sticking any faces in, and just do a quick check of these remaining archways, and then if we can't find any way that we can get through or anything that we feel comfortable with, I want to go back to what the hell was her name? Tupon's place, and make a plan for tonight. And I think Gavin would just kind of tap the butt of his spear on the ground, and flip it around, butt in first, and stick the butt of his spear about 6 inches or so into the next archway.
Now, would that be, excuse me, would that be the next archway this time on the left, or would it be the next archway on the right? Like the one beside, the one that Zeke just absolutely lost his shit over, or would it be like the next one, like away from it?
I'm thinking in Gavin's mind, the way that makes sense is if they're on either side of the hallway and progressing down, would be to move one, then across from it, then the next, then across, kind of systematically. So, I guess the one across.
Okay. So as you stick the butt of your spear through it, and I guess you just like pull it back right away?
No.
No?
I'll stick the butt of the spear in about 6 inches, and kind of, if there's no resistance, just kind of swirl it around a little bit, maybe moving toward the edges of the archway, kind of following around in a bit of a pattern, looking to see if it meets any kind of resistance.
Sure. Yeah, and as you stick it through, it's completely fine. There's no resistance at all. You move it around in a pattern, and yeah, there's nothing. Even when you pull the spear back, which I assume you would end up doing, you see nothing on the end of the spear. There's no corrosion. There's no problems. There's no nothing. It just seems to be the spear's there.
I'm going to, pulling the spear out and seeing no corrosion or anything like that, I'm going to stick my arm.
He said face wrong. Sorry.
And I'm just trying to remember. I don't remember which arm I said was special. So I guess it's going to be his left arm. I can't remember if it was the right or the left.
I want to say it was the right, because I think because I had asked you about it. I asked if he was like right-handed, and you're like, yeah, he's right-handed.
Yeah, because it was the whole right side, wasn't it? Yeah, so that he would stick that right arm through, knowing that or believing that if there's any kind of caustic elements, that the damage should be relatively minimal compared to sticking someone's face into the unknown. So yeah, I'll stick in probably up to my elbow and kind of reach around in this.
Sure.
Nothing that's
Pop your arm in, and you don't feel anything. I mean, you don't, you just kind of move your hand around, you feel air, or you feel the resistance that air would come, and you pull your arm back, and all five fingers there, so it just seems perfectly fine.
Scowling slightly at Ford, I'm going to take a peek in.
Oh, you. This is how I kill players. I'm just kidding. So, as you stick your head in, before you see the back of someone clad in these huge purple robes, a very like kind of tall, almost conical hat, but it's kind of like pointed at the kind of like flattened off at the very top. You see a huge group of like kind of olive skinned people, kind of like on their knees with their heads down, and you hear this individual, he's speaking in a language that you do not understand in any way, shape, or form. He's just ita prahana korohayamata huti tawata erapanaha, and as he points back, your face is kind of like stuck in this like this kind of ancient archway, and people are just kind of bowing, and then all of a sudden, as you stick your face in, one person just stops and stares right at you, and with their like kind of jet black, almost looks like dyed hair, and they're kind of very simple, rough spun clothing. Yarana, Yarana, and everyone kind of looks and stops, and even this person who turns around, they kind of dressed as a priest, and Yarana, and everyone gets down and kind of starts bowing and praying. You see these massive like golden calf and bull shaped idols, surrounding what looks to be almost like a temple. A huge, massive purple purple pigments. Kind of in an ancient, massive structure with these buttresses and these massive, huge, almost, it's like a Doric column, but not quite. And it all comes into this massive point just up top with this open area and this shaft of sunlight coming down on all these people. And they're all saying, Hiyarana, Hiyarana. They're all bowing and praying, and their voices are just rising in these chants. And this is what you see. I dropped my mic, but it's expensive.
Gavin would very quickly, actually, no, he wouldn't do it quickly. He would slowly draw back out of the archway and step back into the hallway and kind of look around. And he remembers when he was young that he was reluctantly a part of his with that same aunt that he stayed with in Canada. He was a part of her church, and he did not have great experiences with it. And he recognizes some of the ritualistic nature of some sort of religious practice. And he just kind of looks around at the others, and he says, I get the feeling I may have just unwittingly been some sort of stigmata. And I would actually describe... Go ahead.
Oh, Ford would just say, yeah, seems like there's a lot of that going around. And he would look at Zeke, potentially still on the floor, bleeding and crying and bleeding. And my face is probably puffed up and red. Like, well, yours sounds better than ours did.
Yeah, and I would actually describe it, what I saw. This place is making me very uncomfortable. I think you were more right than you know, Ford, about what you said about how these could open up literally anywhere. And
only when?
I'm not too sure that I'm not sure that you are wrong, Zeke. I'm actually quite frankly frightened of the implications of even something as simple as what I just did, something as innocent as peering through an archway, what it could mean to those on the other side.
It sounds like he looked at Babylon, and then he just gets up and he runs to that door and he puts his head through it because he wants to see it. He's never seen it. He's like desperate to like see this incredible thing that he's read about for all his life. He just like wham.
And as you go in, shocked, everyone else, you see the exact same thing. All these people are, and everyone stops and like notices that you look different, and kind of like backs up a little, like, oh, yeah. And everyone, like, people start running out, but you do see the purple room. But it's an ancient temple. This is ancient Babylonia. This is not the Babylon of the Byzantine Empire type. This is ancient Babylon, like these great, massive, purple painted walls that kind of reach up. It's almost awe-inspiring, especially from the desiccated and even desecrated temples that were basically shadows of its former self. You could even see, as you kind of look out, the now ancient city, of far, of times past, of Babylon, and all of its glory, these, even from the open doors of this massive temple, which were huge doors of bronze, as they crack open, you could even see at the end of this, like this kind of a river canal, you see the Hanging Gardens. For a brief moment, you can see the Hanging Gardens. One of the greatest moments of probably anyone's life, of this, to lay eyes upon this ancient wonder. And it's yours. You
that,
probably
like,
even pee a little.
means more to Zeke than like I could put into words. Like, it would be like me seeing it. It would like blow my mind for the rest of my life. And he just like falls back out of the door and is back to tears.
And Mac's been quiet, just kind of letting the brains do it, and he gets fed up at this point. And he just kind of looks at everybody and said, "This isn't a goddamn field trip. I don't care about your face. I don't care about your gods. I don't care about your tears. We came here to do a job, and you're playing school trip."
And Ford would say to him, he would look sort of slowly at each of us and say, "Funny thing, you're up next."
Yeah, I'm up next. And I take my spear and I kind of hike up on it. I said, "I'm not screwing around with these little ones. I'm going to the end." And he's going to run and jump through that last portal.
Now, you talking about like the next one on the right-hand side?
No, at the very end of the tunnel.
It's like, motherfucker, I ain't going to wait.
Nope.
So as you run right through?
I run right through. I'm angry. I'm sick of waiting. I don't have the patience that these guys have. I'm not scientific. I'm not going to weed it out. I'm just going to go get it done. And that's the one that looks different.
I've already started drafting the looking for new player post, Mike. Because we've had a tragic death in the party.
Yeah. As you just charge right through, you're like, that's it. I'm done. And as you go running through, your spear at the ready, kind of almost above your head, ready to slam down, you kind of burst through. What about the rest of you? What are the rest of you doing?
Watching him run through the other portal.
watching him die. I don't know.
I'm like sitting on the ground. I'm trying to like solidify the image of the Hanging Garden of Babylon in my head so that I'll never forget it. I'm just like, okay, yeah. I'm just like remembering details and like putting in the Mind Palace.
That's probably smart. And for anyone who's ever played any Civilization games, that's actually the big thing. So as you run through, you end up in a kind of a strange place.
Hell?
No, not hell. You end up in Delaware. No, you end up in what looks to be kind of like a workshop, but not just any workshop. It looks like a famous person's workshop from the past. You can kind of put your head on, like you can almost figure who it is, but you can't quite remember. But there's a part of it. There's a part of it. It's like an old inventor, but you can't quite think of it. And if you can think of it as your part of your character or tie it into your backstory, be my guest.
Well, what would he see? What's in this workshop?
Massive piles of papers, but massive piles of papers and old sketches and drawings, but mixed in with new technology, a computer, but a computer what seems to be from about 2050, 2060, something that's, probably about a good 28, 32-inch monitor, with several monitors beside it. You also see what looks to be a kind of like a projector hanging on from one side, but then at the same time, you see what looks to be like a kind of like a wooden doll, but something that's made for for kind of putting into position so an artist can actually draw, that rendition of that, of that figure. You see an easel, excuse me, with paint. You see an old like kind of painter's kind of palette, kind of sitting off to one side. You see some old oil-based paints. It's like a mixture of old and new.
So, having just gone through, I would bring my spear down, and I would actually take several steps back. If I took a few steps back, would I go back through the portal?
Yes, you would.
Okay, I would go back through the portal, or at least just my head, and I would yell down the tunnel, "Hey, nerds! Something else you might want to check out."
Nerds!
Yeah, and seeing that he wasn't dead or disfigured that we could tell, I would go and probably walk through the portal as well.
Yeah.
That's the best. Is my party member dead? No. All right, safe. Let's go. Let's do this. That's Numenera, folks. Numenera. So, Gavin, are you also going to go in as well?
Yes, I'm going to bring up the rear. Gavin's a little hesitant because of just seeing Zeke's breakdown, and he's beginning to worry about Mac as well. That he seems to be reverting to almost pure soldier instinct. Each person seems to be handling the stress of this new environment and new situation differently. And so Zeke's maybe wearing, or Gavin, I forgot who I am. Gavin's wearing some concern. But yeah, I would come in last.
Okay. As you all walk in, you see what looks to be now for both Zeke and even Ford. For what you see is it almost looks like a cross between a modern workshop and Da Vinci's actual workshop. You see paintings in that, Italian Renaissance style. You see, you see, like beautiful, like pieces of vellum, kind of just ready for paint to be added onto it, as well as computers, as well as like AutoCAD drawers that, like can seem to do it. But everywhere you see clocks, you see, sand, you see hourglasses. Wow, words, right? You see clocks from different, like in different eras and from different timepieces. You see some from the 1600s, the 1700s. You see sundials. You see some that you don't even understand how they work. You see like perfectly like round coins of steel with a small wooden ball just kind of slowly going around it in what looks to be like some sort of a timepiece. You see some that all of a sudden just like flash out a time and then just winks out, and then flashes out another time completely different and then winks out. But the one thing you do notice that was very same in the hallway is you see these lights again, these same lights stopping at points and sometimes winking out, sometimes stopping at just one point and dying completely and then moving to like other points. Everything is flowing. The lights are constantly flowing. You also see in the very back corner are the two figures that you have been hunting. They are standing in front of a very old man who seems like he is just one lungful of air away from death. He is laying in what seems to be a very comfortable bed, and the two bald creatures seem to be kind of standing there with their arms folded across themselves. As the four of you enter into this area, they almost seem to get into a defensive stance, and this old man just kind of waves them away, or waves them still. I did not imagine that the four of you individuals would come. I hope that you are not lost. What can I do to help you, my young friends?
We could use some answers.
Always. I have to admit that human beings are the most inquisitive of everything that has lived on this planet. Ask your questions. What would you like to know?
About a million things. I guess for now, where and when are we?
Don't you recognize your own home? How could you after so long a time? When are you from? Trying to think. It has been so long. Yes. Yes, you are of the second. Yes, the second world. My goodness, has it been so long? Because you don't seem to be of the ninth. Yes, it has been 1, 2, 3. It has been 1.5 billion years since someone of the second world has lived on this planet. At least by the standards of the second world. If we wanted to go by the fifth world, it would only be 5,000. If we wanted to go by the fourth world, it would be 12,837 of their years. Eighth world, you know what? It's been a long time.
Did you say a billion?
Yes.
It doesn't make any. How is the sun not burnt out?
There are so many questions. And you have so many questions. This is the ninth world. You are of the second world. And I'm not going to lie to you, as a second world, you didn't exactly do very much on this one. What did they call your world back in the second one? What was it? Yes, that's it. This is where you are. Earth, the second world, which is now the ninth world. Welcome home?
think he's like trying to concentrate. You can like hear him concentrating. He's concentrating so hard to try and figure this out. Huh?
The smoke,
And then-
the smoke is coming out of the ears. The hamster's
Yeah.
got his foot stuck. He's flopping around the wheel. It's pandemonium inside Zeke's mind right now.
Doesn't get it. Doesn't get anything that's happened today. So I think he would like just like sit on a nearby chair, and just like when they look at Ford, like, okay, your turn.
And Ford kind of thinking about all of this and deciding not to not believe it. Usually a scientist is is sort of a person of questioning, but in this case, he's like, well, let's just take everything at face value here. I don't think this guy lied to us. Does this person happen to have half white hair and half black hair? Or just this is a person we've never seen before, or Zeke's never seen?
Although this person very much sounds very similar to someone that Zeke knows. In this case, the hair is kind of more gray on one side and like shock white on the other. And he does have like kind of a bit of a longer kind of unkempt beard. He's laying down from what you can see in like some gray robes, which seem threadbare and kind of worn. And he's laying down in this bed, again, flanked by these two silent, bald-headed creatures.
So Ford would ask more in the present questions. He would say, do you know how we got here? What the sort of hub of portals was there? I mean, I almost died back there.
You stuck your head through the first portal, didn't you?
And Ford would laugh a little bit, like chuckle, like, yeah, I guess you can tell.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. That is a moment in time that you can visit with the archway. It is the birth of the universe and the beginning of the flow of time.
And so, go ahead.
Zeke retches when he realizes that he's actually seen it. Like he was trying to convince himself that he hadn't really seen the beginning of all things, and he just goes.
And as soon as you do that, actually, one of the bald-headed creatures like goes and grabs a rag and just begins cleaning it like fastidiously, to a point like trying to get every single molecule of whatever was in your stomach, the bratwurst cucumber sandwich, which is going to be now an internet thing, and just starts like cleaning it all up, like just getting it all out and just going back and just making sure that it is spotless. The individual who's laying in the bed kind of chuckles, kind of wheezes, laughs, and says, yes, many people have that reaction when they see the birth of the universe. It is not wise to go through many of those ways. It's why they are blocked up. And we only have records from the second world onward. But this world is coming to an end. And everything on it is going to die. It stays in the flow of time. I'm sure you've seen the map by now. It stays within the flow of time, and that is how it has survived for so long. For billions of years, through many worlds doing their best to destroy it. The ninth world has, they have lingered. Now, something is killing the world. And it is the world clock. It's the best way to describe it for someone who is not understanding of what the true value of time and the trueness of time is. The world clock is what keeps the world, the galaxy, the very fabric of the universe onto one area. If you did not restart the world clock, the entire galaxy, everything you know, will be destroyed. I am too old right now. I will be younger soon, but I am too old to entrust myself to a journey to carry on. Forgive me, I did not introduce myself. I forget when moments are supposed to happen, and the introductions were probably supposed to happen before. My name is Caldus. I am the guardian of the world clock. But unfortunately, I am too early and too late at the same time, and I don't have time, no pun intended, to inform you of how time actually works. But give you a simplified version. Consider your universe, your reality, everything you know, as a bubble floating in a brook. The world clock is a small bit of soap that keeps that bubble strong. When the world clock dies, the soap is no more, and the bubble can burst at any moment. I need to restart the world clock, and you four are the ones to help me restart it. Will you help me? Will you save this world? Will you save the galaxy and perhaps everything?
Max got nothing.
This feels more familiar to Gavin, though stranger than anything he could ever have imagined. The familiarity comes in finding the simplest piece of normalcy to latch onto. He almost doesn't want to believe the implications of what he's just been told. He's not a scientist, so he's not thinking in those terms. So he boils it down to the basest thing he can think of, and that is he has just been selected for a mission. He understands missions. He understands needing to accomplish a thing for the greater good. And he says without hesitation, we will do this thing. We will take on this mission. And then he kind of remembers himself, and he looks around at the others, and he says, right?
What else can we do?
I mean,
Yeah, it sounds pretty cut and dry to me. It's we
We're-
do or nobody does.
We're pretty well stuck here, and if this is destroyed, then we're destroyed. I don't really think we have a choice. Let's get whatever information we can from this guy and get this done.
So he looks at you, and understanding that you're agreeing to it, he says, "The world clock has had many names over the many different worlds. There has always been someone to help, someone who has chosen to exist outside of time to keep the clock running, to keep the flow running. This incarnation is the clock of Cali. There is a way into the clock that you need to find. But before you can get in, you need to find the 4 keys of time. The key, the past key, the present key, the future key, and the key to eternity. They are hidden throughout the 9th world. And as much as I hate to say, you will have to explore this land to try and find them. I do not know where they are. But if you find something that seems out of sorts in relation to how time works, as you understand it, then yes, you will find these keys. You will find what you seek. I wish you all the best. And if I can, I will try to see you individually as you need it. Help where I can. But I need to age before I can help you. So I wish you good luck. Oh, and if you decide to poke your head into any more archways, do be careful. Not all of them lead back here.
And Ford would kind of chuckle at that last part.
One last question, if I may.
Yes.
You say that if we find anything out of the ordinary, you mentioned 4 keys and a world clock. Might this be in some way related? And I would retrieve the grid dot device thing that Ford had and attempt to press the button and turn it on.
As soon as when you turn it on, immediately kind of the beam goes for the nearest kind of like flat surface. So it automatically actually points downward, just kind of right in front of you on like a 70 or 80 degree angle. You see kind of a grid pattern up. Everything is blank. There's nothing. You don't even see like the 4 green dots. The old man kind of looks up and squints. Yes. That was to get you here. However, and he kind of like taps one of the creatures, who walks over and kind of holds out their hand in expectation for you to like pass them the object.
I will do.
They grab the object kind of tightly in their hand for just a moment and kind of open it up and kind of hand it back to you. The old man looks at you and says, yes, this is for, well, one of my workers changed it. Now you should be able to hunt for these keys. Perhaps. If you hold it up, you might be able to follow the trail of time. If it starts to blink uncontrollably and very rapidly, then you are within a day's travel of one of the keys. It is the best I can offer. But this has been a conundrum, mystery for thousands of years. I hope you can help, because if not, this world will fade away, and everything about this place will be gone. And we cannot let I guess 8 billion years of history get snuffed out like a candle. Do you not agree?
Agreed.
Then to that end, I say, good luck. Wish you the best. Keep your wits about you. And I hope that you are able to save this world. And also, welcome back to your home. Seems like you have traveled for a long time. And I think this is where we will end tonight's session.
God damn.
Wow.
How do you like that for a first mission? Hey, save all of time in the universe. Everything.
Right?
That was Numenera AF, my friend. Very, very Numenera.
It's a good thing you didn't go through the other portals. Holy crap. That would have sucked, although it would have been very entertaining.
You know, with all this big stuff, Mac, I just don't feel like Mac would have anything. He's just a simple guy, you know? All this big universe saving stuff, I'm just like,
Man.
give me something to hit with a stick.
Yeah, he's like real practical, right? He's like pragmatic. He just does
Yeah,
what needs to be done.
It's just, you guys are all like, wow. I'm like, Jesus, can we just get it done?
Yeah.
You know, and like,
at the same
Go
time,
ahead.
it gives your character the opportunity to grow.
right. But like, as a person, I'm sitting here enthralled with everything that you're saying. I'm just like, wow, dude, this thing is so awesome. I want to say something clever. Shit, I'm an idiot in this game.
Fuck, I can't. God damn it.
It's good though. Like he does bring a sort of pace to the group because I feel like
Definitely,
otherwise, like I would just sit there for an hour.
Everyone,
and be like,
yeah.
wow.
Everyone would just be like pulling out their like disposable camera. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right.
We don't do that anymore. Everyone would be pulling out their smartphones and be like, ooh, click. Wait, selfie. Click. You know, selfie to the birth of the universe. You know, that's how you cheapen something beautiful, right there,
No,
folks.
Mike, you did that absolutely beautifully. Just from a you know, I mean, we're all DMs, but from somebody weaving that story, we went from this 4-legged foot guy to the universe, and it made sense. And that's a huge leap. And it was just like, oh, that feels like it should be. Okay. Like there was no rough spots there.
And you know what the funny thing is that, and I kid you not, I built that part of the campaign basically on that top little bit. That top little bit made, because it was just like, skulkers. 2 men have been seen skulking around Cali's trinket cart in the evening hours, typically while she is off competing in the rhubarb races. Now, of course, I'm giving you guys way too many shins, because here she's offering 10 shins, not the freaking 200 shins that I gave you. So
That's
you're
what I
welcome.
thought, because I wasn't going to say anything, but I remember we were splitting 200 shins.
Yeah, but
You said, I was like, I'm fucking writing it down, guys.
You know,
you start with like 4.
Yeah.
Normally.
I figured, what the hell? I'll give you guys some shins, let you play around with it, let you have some fun with it, and just go from there. Because mostly it's story anyway.
Yeah, but it was a really nice transition, though, man. Just from a storyteller standpoint, I was very impressed with that.
Me too. I can't believe I pulled that off.
Those descriptions were stellar. Nice work.
Well,
Yeah,
the birth of the universe thing, I didn't know how I was going to pull it off, because I didn't even think about it. Like, fuck, I don't know. Yeah. And I thought of the amniotic fluid thing, and I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. And then, like, you know, the like energy being born, and from energy being born, the universe was kind of created. Which is going to be funny if, you know, we look back on this on 1,000 years, and turns out that I was right. I was the first person right. Okay, internet, there we go, because that's what's most important, right? That we're correct.
What I would do to look through that door at Ancient Babylon. Oh my god.
Well, technically, you could step through it. I mean, it's the entirety of Ancient Babylon. I mean,
I was tempted. I'm like, I could go be a god of Babylon. That'd be great.
well,
I felt like that part was not Zeke running to the door.
That was me.
Lloyd.
That was
Lloyd.
I was like,
I
fuck all
felt
y'all.
character breaking.
Get out of here! Put me through the door. Put me in, coach.
we're just gonna go here. Can you just grab a different system and just run it through ancient Babylon? Yeah, sure, why not? All right, everyone make a D&D 5e ancient Babylon character. Humans only.
Like,
You know that
story
everybody in
and
this group would.
Yeah.
In a freaking heartbeat. But yeah, no, it ended up working really, really well. I was very happy with how the session turned out, and I'm very excited now because I think it gives you guys kind of like that direction instead of just wandering around and hoping for shit to happen. This now actually gives you a focus. And of course, now you have the entirety of the ninth world to explore in order to find these keys. I mean, it's not like, finding 4 keys on a planet. How hard can that be, right? So,
As much as I love the open-ended, just having total freedom to go wherever we want, there's a comfort in having a clear-cut mission.
yeah.
Yeah, because we can still
So,
go wherever we want, but it's up to us to figure out where the things we want to find are, and then go to those places. So it's like the perfect hybrid, I feel.
And if it's at all like playing Skyrim, we will do 6,000 side quests before we ever find these keys.
Pretty much, yeah. Matter of fact, yeah. I would definitely agree with that because there's lots of things to do. There's lots of things to see in cities and towns and regions in the middle of freaking nowhere. Anyway, but I'm going to do my outros right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in and watching today. I have been the luckiest host for phenomenal players, and God, I love Numenera. If you don't run Numenera, run it, play it, pick it up. I'm not going to lie to you. The core rule book, it's not exactly cheap. It's not super cheap. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'll tell you this. In this book, you get about 5 or 6 chapters of gameplay mechanics, and then the rest of the 453. Nope. I am right out of lunch. The rest of the 380 some odd pages are all setting. Everything is setting. You don't have to sit there and freak out and worry. They do almost everything in this book, and it's beautiful. Go check it out. Play it. Run it. Give it a shot. Hell, go onto the Tabletop RPG one-shot group. Try Absolute Tabletop. Try the RPG Brigade. Find out more about Monty Cook's Numenera campaigns book, or excuse me, Numenera core rule book. It's phenomenal. It's worth every penny. Pick it up on PDF. Pick it up in hardcover. I mean, I love hardcover. I do love hardcover. And yeah, enjoy. So if you guys want to do some outros, I'll start from my left with the always handsome, incredibly powerful Drake. Go for it.
Yeah, man, that was a great session. Again, Drake with the RPG Construct and half of something RPG-ish, a RPG podcast with our own Jake over here. Yeah, man, just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff getting put out, and really enjoying the cast here and getting to chance to play with some phenomenal people. So I'm definitely enjoying it.
And I've been Jake from Mini Terrain Domain and the other half of something RPG-ish. Phenomenal campaign. I absolutely am falling in love with Numenera. The balance of fantasy and sci-fi in a grounded, dangerous world. It's just awesome. We need to have less time in between our games, for sure. Because this is just so much fun, just creating this world together, and playing with these awesome guys. So, yeah, with that, James.
Hello, everyone. My name is James. I am part of Tabletop Terrors as well as Absolute Tabletop. This game was really fun. It took everything in me not to cancel on everyone tonight because I have actually been sick the last few days. I took today off of work, and I knew it was going to be really fun, but I absolutely dreaded this game. All I wanted to do was go to sleep, but I'm very happy I played. But that'll be it, basically.
And I'm Lloyd. I run Jarl DM on YouTube. If you'd like to watch some games, you can do that there. Strongly recommend checking out Numenera. It is one of my favorite games. And as I said earlier, if you're like wary about jumping into such a weird setting, there are really good published campaigns that Monty Cook has put out, particularly Devil's Spine. I really enjoy that. Like get you right in there. They're really like easy to read and good. So I strongly recommend you check those out. And yeah, thanks, Mike. Great session.
All right. Again, thanks everyone for watching, and we will catch you in the next session of Numenera Ascension. Until then, wish you guys all happy gaming, and as always, get inspired.